The keyword is good.
It gets all that salt.
Yeah.
Got walkway for the.
I know.
There's a fire lady in my neighborhood. I handed her my candy.
Brandon, just let me know when you're ready.
Thanks.
Go ahead.
Okay, the city of Port Aransas will reconvene into open session. It is 5:47 PM. Regarding the item of the closed executive session, we have no action at this time. Item 9 is the consent agenda. On the consent agenda is item F, which is the city council meeting minutes of April. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
I'll second.
Right, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Fran, will you please call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Crawford,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
Councilmember Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Schmidt,
Yes.
Mayor Moore,
Yes.
and carried.
All right. Item G, awarding request for proposal RFP 2025-06 Beach Access Road 1B funds from Beach Fund account number 150 capital outlay account number 62320, authorizing future budget amendment for fiscal year 2025 budget, authorizing city manager to act as the executive officer and authorized representative of the city in all matters pertaining to said bid award. Hello, Stephen.
Hello, Council, how are you? Urban Engineering, is here for the bid opening. And we analyzed all the bids, prepared a bid tab. There was a small numerical error in the lowest bid, but it only amounted to a few cents. And looking at the bids, we got some really good bids. The top three, in particular, were very close to each other. I think they were like 8 or 9%. Within each other. They were all under the engineer's estimate. The top three bidders also bid the same number of calendar days to get the project completed, 150. They're kind of taking all that into consideration. We're recommending going with the actual lowest bid amount, which is Mako. The project. Any questions?
You don't have any questions for Stephen? I know that we've pushed this a month forward because we didn't feel like we had a lot of time for review, and we appreciate you coming and giving us that additional review time and making sure everything was good.
No problem.
It's 150 days.
When would be the, we approve it today, when would be the estimated start date?
It's a couple weeks to do contracts typically, and then we would after that give out notice to proceed. So
About a month.
Yeah.
And they said it was 5 months.
I think they could get it done faster, but that's the amount of time they
Okay.
have for the.
Stephen, was there anything in here for erosion prevention,
Oh,
blowing sand?
Subdivision plan, with the typical silt fencing along the perimeter.
That's what I
We've got
was
the
looking for.
requirements to hydromulch areas, in critical dune areas, and then the dune mitigation areas, they've got to go through the process of getting vegetation established on
I was talking about during the construction process.
just kind of the standard silt fence along the perimeter.
The only reason I'm bringing this up is I've got no problem with this, but they have not done a good job on 11th Street.
yeah,
Where
it's been a struggle.
they've really impacted a lot of neighbors down there. So
Okay.
I was just hoping to see if something big, like, hey, we're gonna put up something, so that's not blowing from the south to the north.
Fortunately, this is literally just a 60-foot wide cut through undeveloped area with a pretty good buffer on the north side and south side, so any sand that kind of escapes the silt fencing, I think will just be caught by the vegetation and stuff in between where we're building the road and the nearest development, which is Cinnamon Shore North, which is, I think, 160 feet away. So,
You ever seen 11th Street in the northern? It's-
I think
That's anywhere here.
Well, just when they're clearing.
Yeah.
Ever seen the
We'll
parking lot?
keep, we'll make sure.
I've said that piece.
Yeah, whoever it is, we'll
At least on
keep a
that
close eye on them, and
side that.
And we
it's
need
a concern.
closer with the negotiations with TxDOT about getting the driveway cut in.
Tried to reach out to them today to get an update. I did not get a response.
Okay.
they've got some new personnel involved, and they've got some new policies they're trying to implement, so I think those two things have prolonged the approval process, but
Which could also delay construction.
I'm hoping that it's approved in the next month when we would launch start construction.
All right. Well, I know y'all will stay on top of that, so. Okay. All right. Any other questions for Stephen or David? All right. Do I have a motion?
I guess I'll make a motion to approve, Mako Construction to do the beach access road 1B. I'll second.
All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Fran, please call the roll.
Councilmember Schneider,
Yes.
Councilmember Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Crawford,
Yes.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right. Item H.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you very much, Stephen.
Thank you.
Awarding the request for qualifications for general contracting services for the new recreation center, contingent upon successful value engineering to reduce overall project costs and to direct staff, architect, and selected firm to present a final construction cost for city council consideration at the regular city council meeting on June 19th.
So we got Raymond here with Janak.
Hello.
And he'll help walk us through there. A couple things you guys have. You guys have the score sheets.
Yes.
So the scoring team, which was myself, Raymond, Colleen, Nicole, and Darla, we were the scorers. We received 5 bids from, we had some good bids and good contractors. We had Beecroft, we had Broadus, we had Fulton, we had Summit, we have Victory. And I'm gonna let Raymond kind of jump in and give you the skinny on.
Yeah, thank you. We did receive 5 bids. Really, they're unlike the FEMA work we've done for you in the past. These are proposals. They're competitive seal proposals where the state many years ago allowed you to have ranking criteria. And we developed a ranking criteria, and price is only a portion of the consideration. Days are, I don't have it in front of me, but I'm going from memory. Days are big part of it is experience with similar projects and a couple others.
Yeah, here, if you want it, those are the categories up top.
Calendar days, price, calendar days, experience with similar projects, references, quality of the project management team, and financial stability of the company. So with that said, the firms were ranked, and obviously the score sheets were not identical, I believe, and I'm going from memory, Dave. Summit Construction had 3 first place votes and 2 seconds. Fulton had the opposite. They had 2 first place votes and 3 seconds. A lot of that was based on the price. So it's really up to the council to select the firm that you would like us to work. You're only selecting them tonight to work with us for a month and try and get the cost to what we consider a fair and beneficial for the project, including the alternate. And for those of you, there were 2 alternate bids on the project. One was an indoor track that's raised, and I have some photographs of that if you want to see them. And then the other was some additional parking along, I forget the name of the street, the entrance to the rec center.
Yeah.
I'm here to happy to answer any questions.
And Darla also has some financials too, if you guys want to, you know, so when we budgeted this thing, we knew when we did the tax rate in 2014, I think it generated 14 million. And we knew that, you know, and it was our guess that we were going to be short, and that it was staff's estimate that we were going to hit about the 18 million mark, so that we would need to come up with additional funding. However, we're seeing about a 20% increase in steel and everything else, and that 20% on the 18 million puts you in the low 20s. So, you know, we think that, you know, with everything going on right now in the construction market, you know, that's where you're seeing that bump. We do have some ideas of how you guys would come up with the shortfall. So if you want to have that discussion, we could go into that now if you want.
I mean, are we gonna cut back on something to make up?
So
for
so
something
here's
like
some ideas. Here's some ideas. We're sitting at about 13 million right now because we started with the 14, but we purchased the property from the Clark family in front.
Mhm.
And then we have, of course, we have our design services. So we're down about 1.8 or 1.9, but then the interest that we've made on the 14 million, we got about 900,000 of that back. So we're sitting at about 13 million right now. You guys approved the $8 million coastal park in Charlie's Pasture. The way that was written was that it didn't say coastal park, it just said Parks and Rec facilities. Because as what happens a lot is that you guys might need that money elsewhere. So one idea is that because we're in a drought and there's a big concern with staff, the water district, with the designers of that project, that park is a giant greenscape. And do you really want to be building a giant greenscape park in the midst of a drought and not have a water source? You're looking at hand watering. So one idea is to leave 4 million in that pot, build the infrastructure in that project, the restrooms, the sidewalks, the streets, the parking, everything but the landscape component. Come back at a later date, 2 years from now or whenever it is, and finish it out. So that would get you 4 million, and it would still get the base components of that project built in the ground and ready. You could hardscape it in the meantime, and so at least it would be a functional and not just a mud pit. That could possibly get you 4 million. There's $1.5 million park maintenance building in this year's budget that we are not going to get to. That's another $1.5 million. So that gets you up to that gets you up to 18.5.
We have 900,000. They can be used for this.
Yeah, so that gets you up. Now you're at 19.4. So you're getting really close. This is about a 2-year build. So if you need anywhere between another $2 to $5 million, you could split that out over 2 years. Get 2.5 million in the 25-26 budget and earmark 2.5 million in the 26-27 budget. That's not that big of a stretch. So we think, however route you guys go tonight, we can figure out how to get there financially.
Well, we've got to get there somehow with all the bits.
I mean,
Because they were
yeah.
all way over what we
yeah,
had
yeah.
originally anticipated.
even
But
with the- yeah.
we knew that we
Yeah.
were going to be short. So it's good that we have some avenues to come up with the difference, in the bids versus what we had originally allotted for, which was a while ago and prices have gone up. So I agree. I appreciate the people who did the scoring sheets. I put a lot of value into that because where price is important, I think experience, references, quality of the project management team, calendar days of completion, all those things are a significant piece of completing a project of this size. We have a lot of projects that we have taken on in this city, and we've had quite a few that have had a lot of delays. And that's okay for whatever reasons they are, but I'd like to see us choose someone who scores well, scores high, and that we know is someone who can do a great job for the city. And everyone's going to cost more than what we've allocated budget-wise. So I think that, we need to weigh all those things when we make our decision. And if our decision is to pick a firm and then go back to them and possibly see if there are other ways that we can maybe say trim some things or come up with other pots of money, then I think that's fine. Maybe we don't agree to a said price, but
Right, Mayor, the agenda item states that you guys select who you want, a single firm, and then the second part is you're directing staff and Janak and Associates and the that you're selected to go back and value engineer, see if we can get some price reductions, and then bring it back to you guys in June with more financial ideas from Darla. And then you guys would, if you choose, you would make the financial selection and commitment at the June meeting. So tonight, you're not by any stretch committing to anything except the firm and directing staff to go value engineering. Now, value engineering, and Raymond can weigh in better than me. Value engineering doesn't get you millions. It gets you hundreds of thousands, but remember, you're cutting. It's real tough to cut square footage out of this building because it's pretty lean. It's the gymnasium. It's a weight room. It's the office complex for Parks and Recreation and their staff, and for Nature Preserve and their staff. And then really the other components are really critical, and the square footage in running the Marlin Academy and the after school. So really we were pretty lean on the square footage. We always kept the footprint to a bare minimum. I mean, there's the teen room and the toddlers room, but they're pretty small. And so it's a pretty lean building to start with. So we can do our best at value engineering, look at the foundation, look at some other components, but it's not going to trim millions off the price tag. So just wanted you to be aware of that, and Raymond can.
Yeah, it's, we would look at some ideas that we've had, and some contractors have called me, telling me, we can look at some of the foundation issues. That one contractor told me that he had, and this is a big experienced contractor, told me that they had never received a price per square foot for steel as high as they did for this project. Not because it's your project, not that there's anything fancy about it. It's just the market we live in with the threat of tariffs and, contractors are having to protect themselves. And it's really not the general contractors as much as the subcontractors.
True. Well, I think not only for the offices and a recreational facility is going to be a wonderful thing for the community and for the aspects of what it'll bring to our community as far as tourism. But the programming that's going to come out of this building, particularly for Marlin Academy, our Parks and Recs, and our Nature Preserve, I think is crucial and critical. And I think it's a big part of who we are and what we need. And if we can find a qualified, really strong contractor that can complete that project and maybe even have us into the building in a reasonable amount of time, I think that's significant too, because the school has been incredibly generous supporting Marlin Academy for many years, but what they do with that program and having them all over the place, it'll be really nice to have them in one building. So, and
it is, like you said, Mayor, this is a very public space. It's very different than, for example, public safety, fire and EMS, public works. Those don't get a whole lot of public traffic in them. So this is a very special building. It's like a school. It's like the Harbor Master building, having all that public access in it. So this is something that we definitely want to do it right the first time. This is probably a 40, 50-year-old lifespan on this building, if not longer. So we want to definitely pick a winner as far as
I think everybody in Port Aransas can benefit from this. Our kids, people can go work out. Colleen's finally going to have a nice office, which she so deserves. I just think it's important that we, really find the perfect person to build this for us.
Do we have recent experience with, I guess I could say, there's two that are clearly front runners in here, but do we have recent contracting experience as a city with any of these groups? I know brought us through a lot.
right now, currently Victory has, 3 buildings in the city. So Victory has, public safety, fire and EMS, and then they just broke ground on, public works. So they're currently in town. Broadus is in town, not as a general contractor, but as a providing us FEMA assistance. So they're FEMA assistance for us. Beecroft, I don't think Beecroft is currently in town. I don't know if Fulton's in town anywhere right now. I know the other big projects citywide, you got Weaver and Jacobs over at the school.
Which is about to do this.
Yeah, then they're here on City Hall and Civic Center expansion. And I know Raymond does have an ongoing project. Do you have Fulton and Summit or just Summit currently?
We have projects with, Fulton, Summit and Victory at this time.
Could you explain what those are?
Sure. And we've worked with all of them. We've worked, of course, with Broadus, not as a general contractor, but as a construction manager. We've done with Beecroft, we did the American Bank Center, the addition, the American Bank Center was broken up into the multipurpose building by Fulton.
Mhm.
And then the convention center was done by Beecroft. We've done and / are doing over $500 million of work with Fulton Construction. At Summit, we are doing a ribbon cutting on Friday for a $33 million school they did for us in San Antonio. And then, of course, Victory, we have history with Victory even before the work we're doing here in Port Aransas, so.
Yeah, my wife teaches at Hamlin Middle School, and I think Fulton's currently doing
Yes,
a
sir.
construction project on
Yeah.
that, and they said it's really turning out.
Yeah, it's a large complicated.
How was the school project in San Antonio?
It was good. My guys are very happy with what they've done. They felt they were problem solvers instead of problem makers.
Yeah.
They are a Laredo firm. They've done another project for us. They did a high school addition for us in Mathis to a tune of about 13 million. They were a little late to be, but it was during COVID. So I'm not sure that's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
No.
My architectural abilities are very limited, to say the least. So in regards to when you're building a type of a rec facility in regards to prior projects of these vendors that we have, the 5 teams that have submitted their proposals, who would you, I mean, with experience wise, just from what you've seen and what you know, who would you think had have the most experience?
It's like,
Which
"Ooh,
one of my
spot."
friends do you want me to pick?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry, Ray.
No, that's okay. No,
Out the form, so you can look at his sheet.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
If
so,
could
you know,
bring us
we've,
Kidding.
they're all good contractors. Like I said, Jim and his group, we've done a lot of work with. It's not under a general contractor situation, but they have done some construction, contract work. So, I mean, I'd be glad to expand any more, but we kind of did the
You've
ranking.
Obviously worked with all of these.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I'd automatically, they're definitely qualified, but
Beecroft?
Beecroft with their cost and days to build, they were at the highest for me, so I kind of.
They were the first bid that we opened and I had. to look.
Yeah, right.
I was going, what?
Sorry. Yeah, their qualifications seem, you know,
Correct.
spot on, experience. Their calendar days were the highest and obviously their bid was the highest. So I kind of narrowed it down between Summit, Fulton and Broadus. Those were my 3 picks.
Yeah.
I'll just throw that out there.
I think I did between Broadus and Summit.
I mean, Fulton was high end on
Victory's
money.
right there too. so.
Yeah, this is hard when you have to look at qualifications, costs, days to complete, experience with similar projects and quality, and it's a lot to take in. And I'm like Chuck, I'm not
Well,
I have a lot of
I'll be
experience.
glad to answer any questions about any of the firms because I'm familiar with them all. So I'm not trying to, I'm
Right.
not trying to dodge the issue here.
No.
But I'll be glad to answer. I know I've done work with all of them. I know all of
We
them.
appreciate your expert opinion for real, so.
Would you consider a rec center as a little, for what it's gonna get used? And it's such a public place that experience counts more than price or days to get things done. So that we're not the first rec center they built thinking that, well, number 2, 3, and 4, if they get a chance, will be better than ours.
No, yes.
That's what.
I mean,
concerns
you know
me,
what?
Is
I-
experience in building.
A rec center sounds pretty vanilla, but it's really kind of a complicated building. This one's gonna, if you would like to go with the alternate, it's gonna have an interior running track, raised. The gymnasium is the biggest component. I know obviously, Fulton, Summit for sure have built large
Yeah.
gymnasiums with us actually, and with other people. I don't know if Broadus has done gymnasiums as a contractor. And Beecroft, I mean, they're a great, they're a great firm. They just,
Right.
but they're not normally low. And this time they weren't by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, I was reading where Summit and Fulton had built gymnasiums, so they have a lot of experience in that.
Yeah, and working in this environment is always, and
challenging.
I don't know that I have to tell you folks that, but this is a different animal.
Yeah,
I think
that
that's what
is-
speaks most to me too, is, I mean, and I don't know anything about Summit and they may be a great contracting firm and it sounds like you've had great experience, but they're from San Antonio and Laredo, according to their packet, which I went through thoroughly. And if they haven't built on the coast, on the water, in the sand, and they don't use local subs, I think that makes a huge difference where their price may reflect what they think they can do. But I'd like to know that we're choosing a firm that has experience in this area and that knows what they're dealing with. So to me, ranking, that has a lot of weight to know that we've worked with them, but also that, they've worked in this area. And so, I mean, if we're going to go between the two highest ranking firms, although they're higher, that would be my preference, and to see if they can work on the price some.
And
I
that was
mean-
a big part of the ranking committee. We put a lot of value on local knowledge, experience on a barrier island, and especially subs, where are the subs coming from?
Yeah,
Are they out here now?
Right.
Do they know what they're getting into?
That's true. Like I said, there's a lot to think about.
It's hard because I think we have 5 great
Really good. Yes.
offers, contracts, proposals, so.
It's a good problem to have.
It's a
If there's
good
such a
problem.
thing as a good problem to
Right,
have.
right.
Just wish they were all $14 million.
I know.
That's right.
Yeah,
exactly.
or under 20 at least, right?
Yeah. Okay, well, we're gonna have to make a
So-
decision because I don't think it's gonna get easier
No.
next month. So is there a suggestion?
Is there any difference in like somebody's already working here right now to maybe getting the cost down? I mean,
I
I
mean,
mean, I don't know if that makes any difference or not. or it's just materials and,
Yeah,
yeah.
it probably wouldn't. I mean, the only way it would be applicable is if somebody said, well, I'm working on this project over here and I can take some of this crew and
Yeah.
bring it over here. But a lot of times, when contractors receive sub bids in order to turn in their bid, they're in the parking lot 5 and 10 minutes
Yeah.
before the bid.
Yeah.
And they're taking the best bid they can, and they're not really matching up that, oh, this guy's working in Port Aransas
I
now,
get you.
and so on and so
I
forth.
got you.
Is it a foregone conclusion that we're gonna push for the indoor track, or is that just a bonus feature that we're looking for? Oh, Just look at this this sheet here.
right?
The,
With
the
the
al-
extra.
alternate one, the extra for the gym track, is that something that's been decided on by previous council? that
We
they
had-
We're definitely doing
We
this.
had talked about that with the alternates. I mean, that was one of the alternates.
Mhm.
We did like
Um,
it.
We like it
That's
a
why we
lot.
wanted it in the bid. So,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean,
I'm just,
But I think that's a discussion we
bid
can
it.
have, you know, I mean, obviously on the alternate bid, you look at the way the bid tab came out, there's a substantial difference between the different contractors, the 5 contractors that even bid it. So, I mean, that may be a discussion. There's not much on the other alternate bid as far as the parking, but that was a substantial
Yeah.
differentiating factor between all of them. So,
Yeah, I'm scratching my head on that one a
Right,
little bit.
it's a little
And-
strange.
But I've tried,
Yeah, they go slow.
and I know Broadus is here. I've tried not to talk to the contractors. I mean, I know them all and I told them, until the council makes a decision, I'd prefer not to talk to you.
sure.
Just because I don't want anybody, I wanted to be fair about the process.
But it would be something that you didn't have to select it tonight. You didn't have to make that
that
decision tonight.
okay.
You could make it in June.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, the value engineering process could also work on the alternate bid and whoever you select would come back with the best price we
Okay.
could on all three, the base bid and both alternates.
and the reason I was asking is if I'm looking at Fulton versus Summit, let's say 2.3 million difference on the base, but then it all of a sudden kicks closer to like 2.9 million if we're definitely doing the track. So it's like, okay, Fulton's definitely done more gymnasiums, but at the same time, is it a 15% difference there?
Right, yeah.
That's the only reason I brought it up.
Well,
Yeah.
the track is, if at all possible, I think the track is a great addition to the facility and for the community to be able to. You know,
But it's not cheap. I mean, it elevates the building
Yeah.
height. It adds the track and then it adds an elevator and 2 sets of stairs. So it's it's,
So that track adds all that?
does it
Yeah.
add height, Raymond, to the?
No, it doesn't,
Oh,
it doesn't add height to the
Thank-
building, but
Just-
FEMA does.
Oh.
So we're having to go to elevation 11 like we've had to do with all
Oh,
the
yeah.
other buildings, and I think your existing pool's like elevation 5 or something.
No, it's at 8.
Is it 8? So we're having to step down to the pool from
You were talking about.
the rec center, but
Yeah.
Mr. Parsons is correct. It does include a stair and
Two stairs. right?
one stair, indoor stair to get to it, and an elevator, and then an outdoor stair that's required by fire code.
Mhm.
The second story, yeah.
And then, so not building height, but the cantilevered steel for the track around it and then the surfacing and railing.
Yeah.
So it's, and then the elevator.
Yeah, and you can see there is a big difference in these prices, and some of them are, if that's the way you want to go, some of these prices are really good, but we can value engineer. Whoever you select, we'll value engineer the base bid and both alternates.
Okay.
$3 to $4 million difference is hard to swallow.
It
When you're
is.
looking at the top
Yeah.
3. Sure. I mean, I really. The most expensive, yeah, that's nice, but
It's funny
I
that
mean,
way.
we're already 8 million over or whatever it is, what we have.
Yeah.
So that gets us up to 11 to 12 million more than what we have. I don't know. That's good.
Mayor, how does this work when we're
I guess.
between 5? I mean,
Bias.
just, I've seen it happen with P and Z appointments, but
Yeah.
does somebody just
Well,
come out and say, okay, I motion to go
I
with the
think-
action or?
I think, I mean,
Take out.
yeah, I mean, I really think that it probably boils down to maybe one or two that we have to decide between. I think we've already all agreed that Beecroft is probably the least desirable for all consideration based on the scoring. So if y'all, want to make a decision on the top two or the top three, and someone wants to make a motion, that's fine. I mean, again, it's a tough decision. I mean, we could do a straw poll, but,
So Callie, on the $3 to $4 million difference. Where I guess Fulton would be higher.
Right.
But they have the experience because they truly built. Everybody ranked them that they built similar projects. We now come down to the next one with across the board, the next one down. That pretty much got 10s and 12s. We come to Summit. And is that your $3 to $4 million swing? With that they're doing, that they've done projects like that before? I mean, does that justify? the $3 to
I
$4
think
million
any of
with
these
the least
people-
amount of experience.
I think any of these five are perfectly capable of building this to
Right.
the standards that we want.
Okay.
And it's gonna just come down to who we feel. But for me, I don't see that we're getting $3 more million of value out of picking Fulton over somebody else. Yeah, that's 15%.
well, and again, we don't have to pick the contract price tonight. I don't suspect that if we chose Fulton, that they would say, okay, we'll charge you, we'll do 18 million instead. So I don't think we should walk away from this tonight thinking anybody that we choose is going to be able to value engineer down to some considerable difference, right, Raymond? I mean,
Yes.
would you agree? Okay.
Yes, Mayor.
So, but I do think that we pick a firm that we feel like will do a good job, be able to renegotiate on the contract somewhat, and at the end of the day, build what we want.
Who is the most experienced in the coastal area?
Bolton.
Fulton and Beecroft, of course, but
Oh, yeah, okay.
And then if they can't get the price where you agree with the.
Oh, yeah. That's what I said earlier, that, you're not committing to the price, and if you don't like the value engineering, you don't have to select them. You could go back to the well.
Then we would have to go back to bid again.
No,
No.
you could go to the next.
you could, but it would
Value
take another
engineer
month
again.
because you only meet once a month, so
Okay.
it would take another month. Or a special meeting, but. I mean, typically, Mayor, when you go through this process, a lot of times, not a lot of times, you do it like you do selecting an engineer or an
Sure.
architect. You say, okay, I'm gonna select company A,
Mhm.
but Mr. City Manager, Mr. Architect, if we can't, they're not negotiating in good faith, or if we don't think we can get there from here, then we have the authority to go to B. If that's something you want to do. Or come back to you and then say, let's go to B.
But you will have a special meeting at the end of June or beginning of July. We're gonna say later tonight for budget workshop.
Yes, I knew you were gonna say
So
that.
you will have something before you.
There is and without being a stick in the mud here, there is another ingredient that we have to throw in. Is that because of the prices that are like changing daily.
Mhm.
I think, I don't have the specifications in front of me, but I don't think their prices are, I think they're only holding their prices for 30 to 60 days
Yeah.
from the day they're awarded.
And I think the concern about people building in this area, that's more
Yeah.
on the engineer and the architect. Because they're gonna build to what the specs that they're given.
Yeah.
So
That's,
as far as environment, stuff like that, the engineers and architects take care of all that.
In the
They-
right
they
products,
set the specs that they build by,
yes, sir.
so.
because a lot of people learned the hard way when all the San Antonio
Mhm.
companies coming down here and redoing houses.
I just like to know who we're working with.
Yeah. No, that's
I'll
a-
just take the highest
I
bidder
agree.
just for number comparisons. Obviously, they didn't have but if you guys want me to pick any one of these, so you got the 26.9 million. Less the 13 million tax anticipation note. Option one, take off 4 million, option two, take off 1.5 million, and then option three off 900K. That number goes down. The variance there's, but let's see, that our difference would be about 7.5 million on that high number. And so now if we were to do, and I can pick any one of these y'all want, if we were to show an example of this, do the lowest one. So the lowest one, if you were to take out the gym track, if you were just to back out that figure, you take that number minus the 13 million and the same numbers I disclosed, in the shortfall, there's about 1.2 million on that. So it ranges anywhere, the lowest 1.2 to the highest being 7.5.
But if we did add that gym track, then it's like close to 1.7.
Right, yeah, yes.
Just thinking,
Okay,
this is hard.
it is hard, but we need to pick somebody to at least to try to start with.
Okay.
So, I appreciate all the scoring and all the input and all the examination.
There's kind of between Fulton and Summit.
So that's my question. Do we have to do this as a motion, or can we have an open conversation?
I think someone makes a motion and then a second, and then if there's not a quorum if there's not a passing majority, then we try again. So,
Okay.
I think it sounds like for the most part in the room, we're probably settled on at least 2 or 3. So if you want to take a shot, sir?
First day on the job.
No time like the present.
We're gonna throw you tools.
All right, for agenda item AIR 25-071, I select Summit.
That's a motion.
That is a
There's a
motion.
motion,
Okay.
trying to get the debate going.
Is there a second? If there's no second, then the motion fails. So let me know.
Well, Summit's on my list.
They're on the list.
They were
I think they're on
my list, too.
everybody's list. I'm just having a hard time deciding between.
Okay, if there's not a second, then the motion's going to fail. So is there another motion?
Are you still looking for a second?
Can
I'm
we,
still looking for a
Still looking for a
second.
well, I mean, can we name 3? You said that, right? Or do we have to have?
We got to pick one.
We need
We gotta
one.
pick
We're picking one.
3 doesn't help us.
3 doesn't help.
Hard.
That's why I
Okay.
put one out there.
I know you did. You
Three
did
does.
great. You
Yep.
did great.
We speak-
We probably
Yep.
should have jumped. on
Starting
that,
somewhere.
but
And you can always go back to Summit. If a whole bunch fail, then.
That's true.
just
That's
keep
true.
going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
No second.
No second.
Well, I'll make another motion. How about
Okay.
we go with Fulton?
Right, there's a motion for Fulton. Is there a second?
Talk about it.
All right, there is a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
They would have enough
Well, that
value
puts-
engineering to look.
Oh, 4.5 short.
That's what,
But I like the
Hoping.
idea that they've
No,
done.
correct.
Okay. Good track.
because other ones might go up in cost in the long run. They've not.
Hopefully they don't blow up anymore.
We don't need anybody to go
Well,
up.
yeah, yeah, because
But
they're
then
high
they're
up
also
there.
gonna start looking at it to see where they can cut costs. right?
Yeah, the way we would attack this is we would try and value engineer things that don't cut out programming. Okay, in other words, we're not gonna come back to you. Hopefully not gonna come back to you and say, well, you can't have these multipurpose rooms or the teen room or something like that. The idea is to see if we can find some savings either by getting the contractor to talk to their subs and review their numbers or
Yeah.
making it up.
Could we, when someone makes a motion, Joel, who made the last one?
I did.
Will you go ahead and
Oh.
read H and insert their name? That way it's
I'm
the
sorry.
full,
yes.
the full
Um,
resolution is that we need.
Like the top here.
Yeah, just say, you could just say, motion to select Fulton Contracting Services for the new recreation center.
Okay, I make a
Contingent
motion to
upon.
select Fulton Services for the new recreation center contingent upon successful value engineering to reduce overall price, project cost.
There you go.
How about that?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
And so the plan in that regard is to go to them to discuss those things. And then by the June 19th meeting, come back to, with a possible contract amount
Yep.
that we, in which we'll vote on again. And if that's not satisfactory, we can then reselect a different contractor if we feel necessary.
Which is the second part of that resolution. Yes.
Okay,
Contingency, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
okay. All right.
Yep.
Are y'all good with that? Is there any discussion further?
So without any of the alternatives, the difference would be 4.5 million. on what
Well,
we're
yeah,
doing.
I mean, you could, when
I'm
we
just
could
throwing
go
that out
down
there.
to the, you don't have to vote for it. and
Right,
just sit
right.
out.
I'm just putting it out there.
Okay,
Okay,
all right.
thank you.
No further discussion? Fran, please call the roll.
Chairperson Crawford,
No.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
Councilmember Owens. Councilmember Schmidt,
Yes.
Mayor Moore,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Raymond. And thank you for everyone
Raymond.
who bid.
Linda,
Call you tomorrow.
come down.
All right, so we'll move on to item I, discuss and take appropriate action to confirm that Plan 2513 no dune permit for 196 Seaside Drive is consistent with the city's coastal management plan. The applicant seeks to remodel an existing single-family residence, applicant 196 Seaside LLC via Daniel Mazak, property location 196 Seaside Drive, which is Cinnamon Shore North.
All right, hang on, my page is upside down.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we do have the applicant that's here. I'm sure that you guys remember Daniel Mazak. This is a no dune permit application for 196 Seaside Drive. This is a house that was built back in 2013. It backs up to the dunes. It has some flat land behind the property. But because the dune permit with the original build of the house has expired, they have to come for some kind of dune permit. They are seeking to build in the flat land already, so no critical dune impacts, therefore a no dune permit is acceptable. Planning and zoning voted unanimously to pass it.
In that meeting, they asked for something to be added to the site plan. Okay.
That's been submitted.
Okay.
Yep, it's the
Okay.
version that's in this.
Do you have any further questions
No.
regarding any insight, Mr. Schmidt, since you already passed this up?
No, I'm ready to motion to approve.
Okay.
Yeah, already.
All right, he already knows it once.
A second.
All right.
Motion to approve Plan 25-13 no dune permit for 196 Seaside Drive is consistent with the city's coastal management plan.
A second.
All right. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Nope.
All right, hearing none. Fran, please call the roll.
Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Chairperson Crawford,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
Councilmember Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Schmidt,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion carries.
J, discuss and take appropriate action to confirm the beachfront dune protection permit plan 2416 is consistent with the city's coastal management plan. The applicant to establish that no dunes exist on the construction site and that no dune permit is required for construction of improvements. The applicant is CO's Investments 2 LLC, property location 5100 block of Highway 361.
So this is the area just south of Cinnamon Shore North. It's going to be the area in question between Cinnamon Shore North and our new beach access road.
It's like right here.
So this property, it's flat, no critical dunes on site. So this one, typically we don't have no dune permits, that are reviewed by city engineers just because there's no critical impacts they're really looking at. So we have looked at it, planning and zoning voted unanimously to pass it. The area is flat. There's no impacts to dunes, therefore no mitigation required. David and I were actually out on site with the GLO on a different project, on the Beach Access Road project. So we were able to see it firsthand. He probably is still making fun of me for falling.
Oh, that's right, you fell. The, the line, the line there, that's the, which will be the edge of the construction, that line is established by the Bureau of Economic Geology. And it's the erosion rate times, what-
I can't.
what's the
remember
magic number?
I
But
don't
that's
remember
how that
yeah.
line's established. So you see it, you see the line kind of moving, you see other parts of Cinnamon Shore that are a little bit further seaward. And then as it trends to the south, you see that line kind of continues back that way. So that line right there, that line is established by the, within the city's coastal management plan and the erosion plan.
So you can see from the pictures, the extent of everything there, and you can see that it's pretty flat. Most portions of it are pretty well maintained. So city staff also recommends approval.
All right, any further discussion? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve Plan 24-16 is consistent with the city's coastal management plan.
I'll second.
All right. Fran, please call the roll.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Chairperson Crawford,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
Councilmember Owen,
Yes.
Councilmember Semitis,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right. Item K, discuss and take possible action on an alternative parking plan, Plan 2514 for the Palace property, Palace property, applicant Leron Dana Omari, location 415 South Allister Street.
Yep, and I thought that they were going to be here to kind of present on their own behalf, and they weren't. So this property is been here for a very long time. It actually predates our parking ordinance requirements that were established in 2010. So it already was a legal non-conforming property with less parking spaces than a typical retail store of that size would be. They have split it in years past prior to me working here. And then, recombined it to be one big store again. Now they want to split it again and not only be a retail candy kind of shop, but to serve ice cream too with chairs and an outside patio. So anytime that something extends its use, it takes away that legal non-conforming, and they do have to meet all applicable ordinances. So here they're a little shy of the parking that's required. They need 51. Currently on site, they have 28. They've presented a few plans to planning and zoning. Planning and zoning kind of came up with a hybrid plan. So you'll see that there's 3 options there. The first is option A. It provides all 51 required spaces, but has a golf cart element to it. That's a pretty high percentage, a higher percentage than we've ever done before. The second option, option B, was just a flat reduction, a shared parking for both of those locations that reduced the parking by 11 spaces. Third option is they also own the property kind of catty corner to it within the distance that is required for an off-site parking agreement that does have the extra parking to spare. And that's the suggestion that planning and zoning had, was to use option C. So have the 40 full-size spaces on site plus the 11 that destination has to give up across the street.
Okay. So option A is to give them a whole bunch of golf cart spaces.
Correct.
Like 40%.
I think it's a little bit less. It's like 37.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. The highest we've ever
Yeah,
done
never
is about
done that.
22%.
And there's no guarantee, although we have plenty of golf carts in town, that would ever work out.
And the suggestion was that all those golf cart spaces be in the back, which I don't think is appropriate.
In the back,
Or people even gonna.
do they
go back
even have
there.
access to the back?
They do.
They do. But
Okay,
They've got access from Avenue E as well as Allister.
that's not clearly indicated anywhere that you would pull up there and know to park in the back.
Correct.
they need
Yeah, I don't like
signs.
that plan.
That's a whole nother-
Option B proposes just to let them have less than required.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Why would we do that?
I
Yeah.
don't think that that's a good option either.
Okay. Number 3 is what?
Option
Parking.
3 is the 40 spaces there on site plus the 11 spaces across the street at destination. Destination, on here.
I was reading.
They have 61, they only need 50.
They have 64, they only need 50, like 67, they only need 53. They had 14 extra, destination has 14 extra spaces that they don't need, so they have the 11 to provide.
But I mean, are their customers gonna know to park over there?
With the correct signage.
Okay.
Well, there's following the stores.
You think we're fixing that?
Okay, is everything okay?
Yeah, the door broke.
The door just broke a little.
Okay, so then the third option is to, somehow they would have signage that says, when parking lot is full, park down the street.
Correct. Their argument was that in all of the years that they've been there, they've never had a full parking lot. So one of the suggestions of planning and zoning is that we kind of do a study of our parking, not a super, the staff does a study of our parking throughout town over the summer, and maybe we readdress the parking requirements and see if there's any adjustments that need to be made there.
But they're also adding like a business, so I mean, that's
They're adding a porch.
different. I mean,
Yeah, so this
I-
is my question. They've poured concrete, they have a slab. So they've been given a permit to proceed with the project, even though they have no parking plan?
Yeah, and I was not in the office when we were discussing all of this and going through. I was in Houston dealing with a bunch of stuff. And so we gave them a permit and said, look, we will give you this permit. There are options to work out the parking requirements, or you have to reduce the usage of that building. So you would be able to have candy and not ice cream, or you would be able to have the candy and not seating. So there's still ways that they could do that.
Or they just don't keep building their,
have they given you like their hours that they're gonna keep for the ice cream and candy store? That
They haven't.
Just curious.
We have worked under the assumption that it's the same hours as
is
their,
what they're.
as their retail establishment.
I mean, my concern, because this happens all over town, including at the establishment that I work at, is that, and I know it happens, in all the businesses that y'all own, is that their parking lot fills up because they have this new candy store and ice cream shop and whatever else they're doing in there. And then those people just start parking at the liquor store across the street
Yeah,
or the
or on
IGA
the
across the
street.
street. They don't feel like it's
Yeah.
convenient to park, even further down the street, past the bank, all the way to the destination, because the person is not going to know. They're going to park where it's most convenient for them and ignore the fact that that's probably not the spot where they should be parking.
Whether there's signs up or not or anything.
Yeah, but that's how the alternative parking plan was
It's
written and adopted by ordinance. There's
Yeah.
a
Allow-
linear foot
Those allowances.
distance that it has to be.
And that's within the linear foot all the way down there.
Yeah, 250 feet from,
250 feet.
yeah.
It's about 190, between 190 and 205.
People park, if
Eh.
they're going shopping, they find a parking space,
Yeah,
They park where they want.
we,
they go into that store, come out, and they're not getting back in their car and driving, they're just gonna keep walking up and down
I remember
the street.
specifically, we had this conversation with Bruce Clark when he talked about how much parking he had, because he has well over the parking that he
Mhm.
needs there. And he goes, no, I like to have this big opening parking lot because people come and park here and they shop at my store. And maybe they walk down to other stores, but they start here and they stop here.
Well, that's great when you have an
Yeah.
excessive amount of parking, but when you have none to begin
Yeah,
with,
yeah.
you just
Where
say,
do you-
well,
where
my
do you-
friends
yeah.
will share.
Or just enough.
I mean, I try to
Yeah.
go to Finn's and there's no parking and I occasionally park across the street at the chamber and I get a nasty gram.
The animals.
So you got to be careful where you park.
Finn's owns a parking lot.
Oh, I know. I know. I've got to go
Separate.
10 miles down the road to be able to. Well, anyway,
Seems like it when you're
When
walking.
you're hungry, it is.
Yeah,
I'm just saying the average tourist probably is not going to
Yeah.
understand
They
that.
don't.
We locals
I just-
understand that.
yeah.
They do not.
And y'all do a good job of educating your people, particularly at like Deep Sea headquarters, of
especially-
saying you have to park parking lot, right? I mean,
it makes more sense.
it makes more sense, right? Exactly, because that is you're educating your people before they even arrive that you must park here versus,
Yep. But the alternative parking plan lays it out pretty clearly in the ordinance. And we think that option C meets that requirement.
That was, we didn't feel right taking legal non-conforming and make it even more,
No.
adding on to it. And that's why the option C was presented, because it does follow the ordinance of doing
Oh, that's-
an offsite parking.
Yeah.
So it follows the ordinance and it doesn't start changing things up and trying to,
Can't
and we don't have any good data on golf cart numbers. And there's a lot we don't know. And obviously
Well,
things are
sometimes there's
changing. So
more,
it's, we need to
yeah.
look at parking
Right.
as a whole.
Sure.
And so
Well, P and Z does, but.
code enforcement, my department's plan during the summer is to go out and come up with a plan of when to go to places and when to count parking and how many people are parking there and kind of monitor that situation over the summer to really have numbers, because I'm not sure we've done that. We talk, about how parking is, but I don't think we have the real on-site verification to back that up.
And
Nicole, how many-
40 on site.
Say it again. C gets them 40 on-site regular parking spaces, which technically right now, without doing anything, if they striped it properly, they could have 40.
They have.
They-
Not
Right.
right now.
Correct. And part of the C of O of that building, and they are well understanding, is that they have to have an alternative parking plan that's approved, or they have to reduce the uses of their building. And we will definitely make it fully striped. That's something that we've pushed for in a lot of locations that weren't.
So how many do they have in the front?
Right now, they only have.
Right now, they have
28.
28,
Somehow they're gonna squeeze it.
in the back.
I don't understand the back part.
Well, here's, let me,
Are they
I'll
gonna
I'll
do
explain the back.
parallel?
Let me,
Yeah,
pull-
they're gonna
let me
do
pull it up.
side,
So.
pull it up.
So
Carol,
here's what happened. Back in 2003, when this building was built, the applicant submitted his property as this entire parcel
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because he owned that property.
because he owned down there. So this parking right here was great. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There's about 16 or 17 parking spaces right there. Lo and behold, he sells this lot down here about 5 or 6 years later, and the lot line is right through the parking spaces. So half of the parking spaces are on this person's lot. So those 17 parking spaces, when he submitted it, we caught it and said, you're not counting those for nothing. So he immediately lost 17 when he submitted his application. So how he gets some of them back is he does parallel parking along that new lot line. That's how he gets, I don't know, what was it, 10 or 11 back? So he comes in here and he can, because a parallel parking space is 22 feet long instead of 20.
11.
What is it?
11.
So he gets 11. So he gets 11 of his 17 that he lost back. And then he has the ones on the sides, the ones here, and then the ones along the front here, and then the ones here.
And as a special code enforcement bonus for Carla is that has been the most problematic area. I think that she's dealt with since she's lived here on cleaning it up and
Clean
getting
that
it
back
straightened
area.
up. And so if they have that parking as part of their parking plan, they have to keep it free and clear, even if it's not being used.
Yeah, and they got to put a fire lane back in there.
Well, and I don't know if we can, I don't know if it's possible to mandate them to have employees all park in the back so that the front of their storefront is for customers. Because I mean, that's what we do at the bank.
You would think that
We
they
are
would want
all
to.
parked in the back so that the front is always available for our clients in the front because that's where it's convenient for them. So, I mean, if that's possible, I think that needs to be recommended for them to keep the front available.
I know that that's, I think, what they do at Destination, because when we went over there to kind of talk about the parking that they had available there on site, she did say that their employees park in that rear.
Okay, well, so it sounds like option C
Is the only.
is the only option.
Option C with a condition of proper striping and signing employee parking in the rear.
I'm not sure how we would enforce the employee parking in the rear, but we could definitely enforce the rest of it.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, I
Urge
think we would
them.
offer that as the best
Yeah.
business
I mean,
practice.
that's right.
Mhm.
But striping and
Yeah,
marking,
they gotta do the fire lanes.
yeah, that's a given.
Is there enough for the fire lane plus the parking?
Yes.
Yeah, I was looking here.
And I think that they have to have mandatory signage to tell their clients where the additional parking is.
Yes. additional.
Because other's then they're
That's
not making.
with
the
every
effort to
parking
do
plan with
Yeah.
every alternative parking plan that we've done, that's been a stipulation to sign it for only golf carts or to
Wow.
indicate that it's on site somewhere else.
It's not theirs anymore.
Well, but that's.
I don't even, I think it's occupied.
That's right. That's what they'll do to you.
They will.
We're on the street.
Hmm. Yeah.
Oh, brother.
Okay, all right, so. Is someone gonna make a motion in that regard?
Option C.
With proper striping, signs and fire lanes.
Including staff working with them on signage and striping and parking lanes.
51 spaces.
Count all.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right. Any other discussion? Fran, please call the roll.
Yes.
Councilmember Owen,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers.
Yes.
Chairperson Crawford,
Yes.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, thank you, Nicole. Item L, approving professional services agreement amendment number 2 to the 2023 disaster recovery consulting services contract with Broadus Associates, approving proposed scope of services amendments, setting terms, conditions, fees, and effective date. Welcome, gentlemen.
It's us again. Hello, good afternoon. So back in 2023, we did a re-advertisement for the professional services. It allowed 2 one-year extensions. We're in the second of that 1-year extension. As we've done consecutively for the last, since January 2018. The budget's our worst case scenario. FEMA does everything perfect, answers all our questions and makes life easy. That's the budget for an all-in year. As has occurred in every previous year, and we've left some room for that, is when those budgets are not expended from previous years, we push those to the following year so we can still get the work done. And so there's a reflection of that as well, but we've been pretty consistent on being below those budgets. But in the perfect world, that's the level of effort that we did work with staff to come up with. So we're kindly asking for your approval of our amendment number 2.
Well, I personally don't know where we would be without the Broadus Del Sol team, so I am certainly in favor of moving forward.
Getting close. We did our last groundbreaking this morning on our fields.
Yeah.
We are seeing great progress, so. That's it.
Right, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve this extension with Broadus and Associates.
I'll second.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none. Fran, please call the roll.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Chairperson Crawford,
Yes.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Councilmember Owen,
Yes.
Councilmember Schmidt,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes,
Motion carried.
Thank you.
thank you,
Thank
gentlemen.
you.
All right, don't go too far because item M is presentation from Broadus and Associates, Del Sol Consulting on Hurricane Harvey recovery. Welcome, Robert.
Evening, everybody.
Hey.
Congratulations, new council member Witten.
Oh,
Pass.
Oh, wait a minute.
she might.
You need a new
They haven't
nameplate.
changed it.
I got
Yeah.
the blue tape in the truck. We'll
Yeah,
fix it.
yeah,
I remember you.
that was a good catch. Yeah,
Zoning committee about a year ago. I remember you were on it.
yeah.
I was.
Chair. Yeah. Right, in your packet, the first, project I'll brief is a public safety. The main effort of work has been the last few weeks, several weeks really, has been the towers, the 2 towers out front. I think I mentioned last briefing has a special standing seam roof that's attached to special way for insurance purposes because they're way up there. Finally, that should be done Thursday. And they're going to finish the stucco. They've been working on that for several weeks also on those two towers. That the stucco should be done end of next week. They're also going to put some parking lot light poles up starting next week. I think last month they put the flag poles up. They look nice. The window awnings, all the single windows are going to have nice heavy duty awnings. And I saw them brackets today and they're nice heavy duty aluminum. So they won't rust on the building, hopefully. Really heavy duty looking. Those awnings on the single windows, they'll be done by the end of this week. Bad news. Okay, I'm just gonna be honest. The jail doors we've been talking about the last couple of meetings.
Still
were
stuck
not
in
shipped
Canada.
April 25th. Those doors were switched several months ago and they were ordered from Canada and there's been tracking it for several months, supposed to ship 25th. They said yes, and got close to 25th. They did not ship them. The main problem is they're having to do some kind of special stainless thing. It's got to be stainless steel or they pass through, right? For the, and that's been a change they haven't gotten to yet. But it looks like supposedly the supplier is saying they're going to ship middle of June, end of June at the latest. We'll see. The 10 jail doors are kind of important. So hopefully that's a key factor and that'll be here in a matter of weeks, for months. Moving to the gas building next door, the metal building that was on the ground. I believe the day we had the meeting last time and the building is up. It's insulated. The metal parts itself, the doors, everything. The rolling doors are not up yet. The window's not up yet, but the building is up. So, it's kind of like Legos. It goes up quickly. It's a simple building. So that went well. There's no issues with that. The HVAC for that building is about 75% complete. It should be done by this Friday for the gas building. And next week they start the electrical and the plumbing rough ends for the building. Moving on to the fire station. The main work effort for this fire station, I mentioned last time they started the steel for the second floor. They're almost done with that. It looks good. About a week or 10 days, they'll be done with that second floor steel. And that will allow them to actually start forming that up for the second floor for the concrete pour. They're going to pour. It's a lot of concrete. It's not quite as big as the first floor, but it's big. And they're going to pour it in 3 sections. And they're going to start pouring the second floor early next month. And then they'll continue with the second floor blocks up to the roof. But the fire station is going well. The gas distribution center, just like last month, we've been on the work directive for 2 or 3 months now. It's going fine. No issues with the work directive. That's how their work, EQuix is working now. And we're continuing to do the daily monitoring. And the monitoring reports are required and they're going fine. Moving on to the public works. As you know, we had a groundbreaking today. The dirt work was complete the last couple of days. It was well over 2,000 cubic yards of dirt. It's a lot of dirt. They raised it about 5 feet from where it was. If you walked up the hill to the
It was
ground.
way up there.
So that was a lot of work and that got done. Took a couple of weeks finally get it done. Tomorrow they're going to do what's called the blue top, which means it's the exact dirt floor before they start working on the forming up the slab. So that'll be done tomorrow. And Thursday they start forming up the slab. And next week, the plumbers and electricians will start their initial rough ends of the utilities for the building pad. So I just started, but no issues there. So any questions?
Public safety building, ETA?
Okay, I got a
Depends
lot
on
of
those
people staring
doors.
back of my head right now.
The doors are driving a lot of that. Glass.
Yeah, bulletproof glass.
Doesn't work in your jail?
Bulletproof glass is on order of 5 bulletproof glass sections. They're about 5 weeks out. And we're waiting on these doors and they're doing punch item things right now. And they're changing the floors too. That's no big deal. I'm just gonna say it. I've been told July. Early July.
In the meantime,
Contract.
while we're waiting on jail doors and safety glass, everything else is proceeding though, right? I mean, I know that there's a lot of work to do after the building is complete, So are those things being delayed as well? Are there things that can be done? I know you can't move in and occupy, but I mean, can IT work be done and
Oh, yeah,
things like that?
all moving.
So,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I didn't mention that net floor I talked about last month, that's done.
okay.
And Sparky, the IT guy,
Mhm.
police station, I believe his floor is done, so he can start doing his thing.
Right.
And the desks have to go in the exact location, and Sparky's on that. So, yeah, a lot of IT work's going on. It's a very complicated building.
Sure.
If you ever want to take a tour, please call me, take you anytime, but I mean, there's wires everywhere and special
Mhm.
fire suppression systems and it's not like the gas building at all. Logistically, the main thing is the bulletproof glass, but they're gonna put up some regular glass at first and before this bulletproof glass gets here, so you can still use the building. It's not bulletproof, bullet resistant. But that's a requirement, and of course, the jail doors is the big thing, and the towers were the big thing, but those will be done in a matter before the next meeting. That's the main work effort. No safety issues, so. Concrete's good. So no other logistics issues besides that.
Okay, good.
Okay.
All right, any other questions for Rob? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Rob.
Item N, ordinance, first reading, adopting the use standards of care for 2025 and providing of severance reading and effective date. Welcome, Colleen.
Okay, I need to point something out to you. One of the changes we made was updating that we don't administer medication to any of our students. And in my version, it looked like it was struck through, but when it went into iCompass, the strike through disappeared. Last year, I messed up the track changes as well, so I'm just on par for the course, but the only updates were highlighted in yellow. We just made generic updates to the parent handbook for informational purposes, and then removed the protocols for administering medication because we don't do that. But if you have any questions, let me know. The reason we do this is because we are exempt from the state health department's inspections and protocol. We are a municipality and therefore we can apply for an exemption. And so it's a requirement that annually we review our youth standards and make sure that we're in compliance with them.
Ooh. That's gonna break.
Oh, yeah.
And also a failing one.
I know this says the first reading. Do we have to have 3 readings on this?
Yes,
Okay.
so that's
okay.
another thing we kind of discovered administratively. Fran helped us figure out that because it is an ordinance,
okay.
we require 3 readings.
Mhm, gotcha.
And so you're seeing a public hearing and 3 readings, which you have not always seen in years
Okay,
past.
that's.
So last year we corrected it and we're doing it
Okay.
again this year.
But we can have the second one at the regular June meeting and then the third one at the budget hearing.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yep.
okay.
perfect. Okay.
So it'll be all ready to go for next year. All right, do you have any other questions?
What
is going
It's saying that it wants help.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No.
Okay, all right, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of an ordinance adopting the youth standards of care for 2025.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, Fran, please call the roll.
Councilmember Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Schmidt,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Chairperson Crawford,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
All right, item O, thank you, Colleen. Resolution awarding request for proposal RFP 2025-07, upgraded weapon system platform, funds from general fund account 050, supplies and subscriptions 59240, and $25,000 donation from the Port Aransas Police Foundation, authorizing the city manager to act as the executive officer and authorized representative of the city in all matters pertaining to said bid award.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
So there's a lot of backstory to this one here. We partnered with the foundation this year for the project was to upgrade our rifle system. The ones that we had, we've done an evaluation on a lot of the equipment that we've been using over the last several months. And one of the things that we found with our rifles was that they weren't holding zero, which means that they were not, the scopes that were used on them were not
staying consistent when they were being shot. So the farther the distance, the more that accuracy is important. So we started to look at new weapons platforms, and we put it out to bid. Originally, we were going to do whatever amount the foundation was going to be able to, but donate to us, and we were going to budget the balance for this coming budget year. But we have also been negotiating with our radio service vendor, and I don't think I put this attachment in the packet. Let me pass this out so you guys have a little bit of understanding of what we've been doing. We budgeted $125,000 a year in this last year's budget for maintenance and security upgrades and hardware support for our public safety radio system. Since that time, we have been in negotiations with our vendor as a region to come up with a better price. And what we were able to negotiate is another year of free maintenance that will carry us up until the 2026 fiscal year. And now for the next 5 years, we have locked in the price that you see here that Port Aransas will be responsible for, which is $52,418.23. And you can see all of the other owners that are part of the regional radio system and their percentages. So we've been able to knock that price down.
And what did we have budgeted for this? So it's going down to 52,418
Correct.
for next budget,
Correct.
right? And then, but what did you have in this budget that you got negotiated down to zero?
125,000, yes. So instead of budgeting for next year, we're wanting to use the $125,000 in that account to pay for the rifles along with the donation from the Police Foundation. And we put it out to bid. We got one response, and that was with Sons of Liberty Gunworks up in San Antonio.
Well, I believe that you've chosen well.
Yes.
Don't really know what to say about your choice, but if it meets the budget and,
Yeah, it meets the budget. It was something that
Yeah.
you guys were gonna see next budget, this
So,
coming summer. So.
Yeah, and thanks for the Police Foundation to donate some money to help make the numbers
Yes.
work, then.
And this number is going to change a little bit. I mean, it's not going to change dramatically, but part of the process that we're going to go through when we upgrade with this company is that they'll buy back the rifles that we have now.
Oh,
And so we'll get a little bit of a credit for whatever that is, whatever price they are going to buy them back from us. We give the officers the option to buy the rifle if they want to keep it themselves. So either way, it's going to be the same dollar amount that we would get. We've also asked them
But
to
just
look-
real quick, James,
Yeah.
so there was a comment made that we had like 2 rifles per officer, and that's not true, is it?
No, it is nowhere near. true.
Yeah, we will, once we do this, we cycle back out the old rifles.
Yes.
So there is 1 new rifle per officer,
Correct.
not 2.
Because it looks
Correct.
like you're ordering 30
Yes.
and you have,
30 and
Right.
we're getting rid of.
Oh, we have 24 sworn officers.
Right.
24 of those are going to go into the force.
service, okay,
And then we're going to assign 4 that are going to be training. That's what they recommend for active shooter stuff. So we have a bunch of handguns that are set for good guy, bad guy scenario training.
mm-hmm,
These rifles are going to roll into that because they're going to be part of our training program on how we respond to different scenarios. So we're going to allot a couple, and then you always keep at least 2 spares on hand. That's a good industry practice because if something breaks or malfunctions, or if you have to use it, it gets taken as evidence and you lose that weapon for a period of time.
okay.
So,
But we're gonna have 30.
correct.
And it obviously, just like all their weapons, each officer is assigned an individual, right? And that is
Correct.
theirs. They don't just come to work and grab one and go.
No, that is not a very good practice
Right.
because when you zero it, it's a really precise deal that is kind of individual. So
Mhm.
they assign it, it's theirs until they separate.
Okay. Okay. Yes, I appreciate that clarification because
Sure.
I did have that question from somebody.
And we do, and part of the buyback that they're gonna do is we have a bunch of awarded and seized guns that we've accumulated over the years. They're gonna evaluate those and that's gonna be part of the trade-in value too. So what, they haven't come down to do it. We haven't awarded the bid, so until we know what that number is gonna be, this will probably go down a little bit. We'll get a little bit of a store credit, but I mean, it's not gonna be tens of thousands of dollars, but it'll be probably several thousand.
So they take all the stuff you collect on your secret arrests on missions. I've seen some. of that
Yeah,
stuff.
well, it gets the courts award it to the department. You
Mhm.
either have to destroy it or you put it into service, and everything that we've gotten is not stuff that you want to put into service.
Mhm.
And it's a very difficult process to destroy it by the standards that you have to do. We either have to hire a company out or we spend hours and hours with a chop saw or plasma cutter and document it. If we sell it back to these companies, they can scavenge it for parts and destroy the rest of it. So
Sure.
that
Okay.
that meets another little checkbox that'll help us a little bit too.
They ready, available when you get them?
The weapons are available. There's a couple of the components. I think the optics are gonna be a little bit of a lead time, but they're looking at right now saying at the end of July. So that's a pretty good turnaround.
That's pretty good. Okay. Any other questions for Chief Stokes? All right, do we have a motion?
Make a motion to award RFP 2025-07 upgrade weapon system platform to the selected vendor and authorize city manager to execute all related documents.
I'll second.
All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Fran, please call the roll.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Mayor Tim Crawford,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Krieger,
Yes.
Councilmember Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Semitis,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Chief. All right. Item P is an authorization, a 3-year tax exempt lease purchase financing proposal from the Enterprise Fleet Management for 2025 4x4 Chevrolet Tahoes for the police department in an estimated amount of $243,885.40. Authorizing an estimated monthly payment of $7,729.89 from the general fund budget capital outlay account 050599275, and authorizing the city manager to act as the executive officer and authorized representative in the city of all matters pertaining to said lease purchase.
So we have budgeted to replace 3 police vehicles this year. Tahoes is what they're looking at. If you remember the Enterprise contract is fairly new, and our plan is to cycle vehicles out much more often. They would auction them and then we would invest those proceeds back in against cost of future vehicles. They can pay us out too. We can take the cash option or reduce our lease. These we've split up. This item is for police vehicles. Your next item is for trucks. There is a difference in these in that police vehicles Enterprise traditionally for their other entities, they go ahead and depreciate the police vehicles down to basically 0. Because police vehicles typically have high mileage patterns, operate at high speeds. A lot of times you're going to have high speed chase or different things, which isn't as good for the vehicle. Since we're new in this program, they depreciated these PD vehicles like they would any other entity in our payment at this point, because they don't really know how our police vehicles are going to come out of the system when we start cycling them out, if that's making sense. They, we aren't going to have as high a mileage because we have short mileage patterns for our patrolling. Of course, we do allow take-home vehicles now, but they're short mileage patterns and we don't typically have high speed. So they think we're going to be operating pretty good on that avenue, but the corrosion avenue, right. You know how that goes. We do undercoat everything and have everything protected, but
And we're keeping these 2 years, right?
3 is the
3.
plan.
Oh, okay.
3 is a plan, 36 months is a plan pretty much for everything, and a 36-month rotation.
That's right here.
So these are being depreciated down to about 0 over that 3-month 3-year period. So you've got kind of a higher payment. As we begin to auction out the vehicles, those payments should drop. And then we'll know more if we're not going to reduce the book value down to 0.
So that's that
The-
difference in the 800 versus
Mhm.
25,000 they were top cars.
Yeah, the trucks were not depreciating that way. So they're gonna do a financial analysis for us, a little bit better going into this budget. But we're still not gonna have much history yet of how our vehicles are doing, because we won't have any PD vehicles cycle out for probably about another year. So
How many fleet vehicles do we have?
how many police vehicles do we have?
Fleet.
So they're all,
I don't know how
they're
many
all
are
there,
in
but then they're
fleet.
just on a 3-year rotation.
Correct.
Okay.
And we're working up, trying to get everything on a 3-year rotation. We used to be a little bit longer than that. Police vehicles especially, they're just now getting back to where you can get them. COVID was horrible and we had some vehicles that we had to hold on longer than we traditionally would, just because they weren't available. But they are coming back now to where you can get the vehicles. And a lot of your cost of your police vehicles is equipment.
Do we pull the equipment at the end of 3 years out, or we don't know yet?
We don't know yet. Usually,
Depending on it.
Well, it depends on,
What
the
type of equipment?
that you're asking.
our computers, we cycle out with the vehicles because they're that 3 years. So our MDTs, their mobile units, that's when we cycle them. Light bars, it depends on if you're going for same condition and if you're going for same type of vehicle. You know, you kind of have your Tahoe is going to be different than your Ford Explorer, but you
It's
have
hard to say
questions.
if there's been a financial benefit to going to this plan yet, because we haven't been through
Yeah,
enough
we haven't.
cycles to know,
we don't
right?
have the history yet to say.
Mhm.
I can tell you that it is definitely easier to administer
Mhm.
because we're not having to look for the vehicles. We're not having to auction the vehicles.
Mhm.
So staff time, it's definitely been a savings, but for the actual true financial performance, we're not going to know for another year or so. But traditionally for other entities, you can prove that it does work. So I think
Right.
it's going to
Well, when
work
they
for us
came and did
also.
their proposal, they showed other entities and it looked like it was gonna
Right.
be.
Mhm.
And it's
Cost
just going to be
efficient.
time and then
Right.
we'll start coming on the flip side for us.
And were we supposed to do the maintenance? Is that, or
We are doing the maintenance
is that
because,
going good?
yes, because we've been maintaining our own vehicles all the time anyway. There's just not another garage around here to take the stuff to. So we do the maintenance.
Well, the nice thing is we're only keeping them 3 years, so
Right, so your
they
maintenance
probably
cost
don't
should
have
be
a
down.
lot. Right.
And they're all still under warranty. So if it's warranty work, we definitely send it away.
What
Most
if they
shops
get
do.
involved in a little accident?
Well, just like anything else, we turn it into our insurance. If it's our fault, then our insurance pays.
I
and if
just
it's
didn't know, if
someone
maybe we just
else's
keep
fault-
driving it around and then when they turn it in, we get a little hickey on the,
Depends on how mad I am.
okay.
Sometimes I make them drive them around and shame themselves.
Just checking. I'm not saying that's happened. I'm just,
Oh,
is
it's
it?
happened.
Oh, it's happened.
Just,
Maybe. We've had a. few
I'm just
times.
saying,
Got a
this
couple.
case.
Right,
happens.
LT? I called him the other day about it. Someone parked a damaged car on the road and I said, could you at least switch it around? So you can't see the damage.
I think I've seen that one.
Mhm.
Okay, all right. Well,
It
y'all,
wasn't LT's.
no, God,
It's
no.
siblings.
Daniel, no.
And one of his children.
I know, I'm teasing. You're sitting over there, prime victim. Okay, any other questions then for Darla on the Tahoe resolution? All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve and authorize a 3-year tax exempt lease purchasing financing proposal from Enterprise for the vehicles, the Tahoe vehicles listed.
Second motion?
Perfect. Any other discussion? Hearing none, Fran, please call the roll.
Mayor Pro Tem Crawford,
Yes.
Councilor Chambers,
Yes.
Councilor Cooper,
Yes.
Councilor Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Schmidt,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, item Q, resolution authorizing a 3-year tax exempt lease purchase financing proposal from Enterprise Fleet Management for 5 2025 4x4 F Ford 150 Super Cab pickups and 1 4x4 F 350 Ford pickup for the Public Works Department in the estimated amount of $340,227.25. Authorizing an estimated monthly payment of $7,039.27 from the general fund outlay capital account 050-62275 and the beach fund capital outlay account 150-62275. And authorizing city manager to act as the executive officer and authorized representative of the city in all matters pertaining to said lease purchase.
Same explanation as the last item. I think I talked a little bit about it. These trucks are not going to be depreciated down to zero. So they have a lower monthly payment because they're estimating trucks just sell great, usually in the secondary market. So they kind of can tell more what a truck's going to do than what a police vehicle is going to do. So some of these are for beach, some are for the street public works department. Just requesting your approval.
All right, do I have a motion or do y'all have questions regarding the trucks?
I'll make a motion to authorize a 3-year tax exempt lease purchase financing proposal from the Enterprise Fleet Management for the vehicles listed and stated.
I'll second.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none. Fran, please call the roll.
Councilmember Schmidt,
Yes.
Councilmember Owen,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Mayor Tim Crawford,
Yes.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, item R, resolution adopting the 2025 fee schedule, approving amendments to parks and recreation fees, amending the building department and development fees, amending the harbor fees, amending EMS fees, and amending sanitation fees, and providing for severance and setting on an effective date.
So I'll kind of cover this, probably everything, but basically Parks and Rec, because it's all different. Everything, if you looked at Parks and Rec, everything is red. So Colleen's gonna have to take that one. But the first item is on page 6 of 15. I don't know how your books are
Yeah.
numbered, but the irrigation permit fees was removed. And I think it was a typo, Nicole felt like, or it said for the mechanical general work should be 75 each for additional inspections, and it was stated at 35. So they wanted to correct that typo. EMS, if Daniel would like to cover, I could, but they are asking for the increases as shown on page 7 of 15. They got with our billing group, Emergicon.
Yeah, let Daniel jump in
Yeah,
there.
essentially, we've got a merchant on here, I've worked on this for a few months. And we haven't had a EMS billing increasing quite some time. I don't know if you did, I think it's like 7 years-ish, something like that. It's been a while. And as you know, everything costs more, and goes up, everything, all the materials that we use and just staff in general. And then on top of that, going into there's a line for ALS2. So when we go into doing whole blood, that we can increase that amount, and I think we're only going up 200 on that one.
We're pretty much 200 on all.
Yeah,
your
we're going from
bases.
1,600 to 1,800, and so going up 200 on that one, which is a very minimal cost. I mean, that doesn't even cover probably 20% of what we're actually using.
400 on your BLS too.
Yeah. And then also going with Emergicon, they sent those, that goes off the TDI averages as well. And so that they make recommendations across the whole state based off of their averages. Do you have any other questions on any of it?
No, makes sense.
I will cover the Harbor Master, which is on page 10. So with our new Harbor Master office, we have some key access that can be locked down, and there's cards that can be used instead of keys. And we did not have the cards in our fee schedule. These are for liveaboards. So we just want a $10 refundable deposit. They can get that back if they turn their card in upon leaving. But if they do lose one, we're asking for a $10 fee to replace it. Their deposit would still stay on, but then they would get their fee back.
And this allows the liveaboards to get into the main Harbor Master facility where the restrooms and the showers and the laundry facilities are at any time of the day?
Correct.
Yes.
24/7. Then, as I stated, Colleen has a lot of red. She's gonna have to cover that, but I want to, since she's got so much, I wanted to maybe talk about the sanitation, which is what
Right.
prompted this whole fee schedule coming to you, even though other departments did want some things. So sanitation, you remember at our last meeting, we had Mike Reeves here talking about the brush. And I did an analysis and mentioned that we did need to go up on our sanitation regardless of doing the brush or not having the brush, because our sanitation has gone up a few times without adjustments to our schedules. Right now, it is 3104 for a residential customer, 2864 for a senior citizen, and 5404 for the commercial. The commercial has a big adjustment of 69.97. That would stay that no matter, my recommendation, no matter whether we do go with brush or not, because the commercial customers are not affected by that $2 increased brush charge. But the 3418 I'm proposing for toter, 3141 for senior citizen is if we did not do brush pickup. That would
Not go to once a month.
not go to the once a
Yeah.
month. Yes, we still do brush pickup, but not the added brush pickup as Mike discussed last month. The added brush pickup, if we go back to once a month brush pickup, they would charge us $2 more per residential customer. So my recommendation is if you do want to go to the additional brush, that we do 3603. $3603 per residential customer with tax, that comes to $39 even. For the senior citizen, it would be $33.25, which comes to $36 a month with tax. If you did not do the brush with that 3418 with tax comes to 37. The 3141 for seniors comes to 34 with tax.
So basically, it's gonna cost me as an average homeowner, $60 more a year to have the ability to have my brush picked up once a month instead of once every 3 months.
Every 2 months.
Every 2 months?
No,
Yeah.
$24 more a month. Yeah.
Well, I mean, overall, with the additional increase that's happening, no matter what.
Oh, that.
My
well,
bills
no
can,
matter
I mean,
what, right.
if all in all said and done, with the increase
Mhm.
plus extra brush, $60 more a year. Whether I'm a
31,
senior
5.
citizen or not.
5 times 12, yes.
Okay.
Would be the total increase if we do the brush.
24
Well, yeah.
from the extra brush, but I mean,
It's the increase in the,
yeah.
in the fee plus the brushing.
So it's gonna cost $36 more regardless.
Regardless.
And another
Yeah.
24.
To have the brush.
to have the brush.
And that's for once a month brush, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we will ask for direction when you decide what you want to do with the fee schedule so that we can let, Republic Services know what direction we're going with for the brush.
Well, basically, our charge tonight is gonna be to approve the new fee schedule with or without the additional brush charge, correct?
ma'am.
That's the need to be the motion. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
all right. We want to talk about
Yes.
Parks and Rec fees, Colleen?
So we have been working on these for about a year. We had them drafted and kind of sat on them for a little while, and then it came to our attention that we were reviewing the fee schedule, and so we threw them in here. But it's an effort to update our fees to match similar services in other neighboring park communities. It's an effort to make some of our rental facilities more consistent. We kind of were all over the place with what location and what we would charge for an amenity at a park. And so we spelled it all out. So the big long list is because all of our amenities are now listed. Whereas before it kind of was generically phrased like athletic fields. And so, well, is the bocce ball court a field or, so we spelled it out. So that's why it looks like a long list here. And We spelled out that staff of the school and staff of the city attend youth programming for free. Um, and I think, I mean, that's really the only notable changes, I would say. Everything else is a venue amenity addition. In special events, some things have come up. We updated our special event application for like rental of the small pavilion and what that entails. And so we added traffic closures. That was something new to us, like you rent the chili field, but then you close the traffic loop around it, or if there was a bigger event that wanted to extend, we added a fee for that. We were mirroring other communities' special event permits. And we made a vendor fee, which is a newer fee as well. So if you were going to bring in vendors for a special event, there would be a fee associated with that. A $25 fee. The other thing we adjusted was the late fees for youth programming. We discussed this a couple years ago and how lenient we were. And so I asked Ken to kind of tighten it up a little bit. It was like, there was a 15-minute grace period, and then after 10 minutes, there was a fee associated with it. And so we tried to simplify that a little bit. And so now there's a late payment fee, and then there's a late pickup fee. So the grace period is now 5 minutes, and after 5 minutes, it's $2 per minute. So kind of mirrors Trinity plus a grace period.
Oh. Yeah, they did. So,
Since you've already, I'm sorry, one question. Since we've already had registration mainly for summer camp, if you're not wanting those fees for this summer camp, y'all would need to put in your motion because the fee schedule takes effect when y'all pass it.
Oh, so yeah, we currently have registration filled. Pretty much everyone who's in camp has already signed up. There could be some last minute additions, I guess, that the fee would then apply to, but it would.
No, I think you'd.
We already have it posted and rosters are full.
But I think they would need to specify that because we get audited on things like that.
all right. So, did y'all get that?
So the Marlin Academy after school care program going from $90 to $125 a month. This is for a 3-hour program from Monday through Friday, every day after school, and includes I think we pulled out the day camps. So on days where the school is closed and staff are still working, I think we put a fee with that. I'm sorry. I think there's a.
Colleen, do you have any idea of the number of children that are in Marlin Academy? How many are PAISD or City of Port Aransas employees?
I have pulled those numbers previously. I want to say it's up to. I haven't pulled this current enrollments numbers like that. At one time, it was pretty high. It was. I don't want to make up something off the top of my
Since
head,
it's
but
free, I'm
yeah.
just asking that question because
Yeah.
if it's, if there's 65 kids in the program and 30 of them are, and I don't disagree with having, some kind of free or discounted program for city employees or especially the schools, since I don't know if we pay them a fee to occupy the place, but
No, so we have our
interlocal.
our
Yeah.
interlocal memorandum of understanding, and so we use the facilities at no cost.
At no cost. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's generous to offer then free after-school care for the teachers.
Yes.
But I'm just curious. I mean, and I understand, I still think, $125 a month and $200 a month is probably.
Yeah, like
not
we're
much
trying
for
to
that.
align with other programs. We're
Sure.
looking at Corpus and Portland and other places and what they're charging, and we're still well below the average for youth programming. I did look at how many school employees were getting free tuition, only because in the beginning of last school year, we had a wait list. And there was teachers sending kids to Marlin Academy and then picking them up
Right, at
very
4 o'clock.
shortly
Right.
afterwards. And so we were debating, like, should they be taking up a spot of a kid on a wait list who needs to be here for 2 hours
Yeah.
or 3 hours?
Sure.
And so that discussion was had, but then we opened up more spots, and so it didn't become, it wasn't
An
an
issue,
issue anymore.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know it's a great program, so
Yes.
certainly going up on the fees is probably necessary. So if you ever see something like that, then, let us know how we can help adjust that just to make sure that it's being paid for.
It's hard. Port Aransas is such a generous community. There's been a lot of things where it's like, we just want to provide for every family that's here.
Sure.
And so when you compare to other communities and you see those costs, you're trying to weigh, what's tugging on your heartstrings and the feasibility of running a program and building a rec center and things like that. So
Yeah.
we want to charge what's fair, and hopefully this reflects that.
Because they also provided, they're provided a snack when they're there as well, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep, they get snack, they get program supplies,
Right.
they go on different field trips with the clubs that they're in. So
Mhm.
birding club goes over to the birding center in various places through town, and we're trying to, enhance what we're offering as much as possible. And I think staff is really rising to do more and more every year. I
Yeah.
keep pushing them.
No, it's a great program.
Just put a picture of the new rec center up there and that'll be their incentive, right?
And we also will still offer financial aid.
Right.
So the
Yeah.
families that really
That's good.
need it, we're giving them a large discount.
Very good. No, this was a lot of work. Thank you.
Okay, so any other questions? All right, so the motion's going to include approving the fee schedule with or without the added brush pickup fee, and then to not start Marlin Academy fee changes until next summer, correct?
Can they say not to impact fees already posted? That be.
Posted or paid? Cause you're advertising your summer camps at a certain price, right?
So posted is, I think, the terminology. Anything we have in Rec Desk right now that has a price listed on it, I don't want to go in tomorrow and change all of them for programs we are actively.
Then you have to have a date
advertising.
that they want to do it.
Can we
Well, then
have
how
an
does that
effective-
apply to any other thing that someone's like, if someone's already reserved the pavilion
I would
and
say
now we're
you'd-
charging $50 more, then
Yeah, you'd have to specifically say the Parks and Rec. These fees
Specifically.
go into effect September 1 or whatever for the school year.
Tuition fees.
You'd
I
say
would think if
tuition
somebody's
fees.
already
Current,
paid, like I have.
rental reservations would be grandfathered in.
yeah, that makes it kind of tricky.
Yeah, if
doesn't
they've
it?
already reserved them, they've locked in a price.
We
Right,
did that with the
right.
Civic Center. I think.
Yeah.
So if somebody's already paid for an event or paid for Marlin Academy, they would be exempt from this new price increase, right? I mean,
Our programs are advertised right now through summer.
okay,
All of our summer
okay.
programming, the prices are set, it's in our system.
And a bunch of people have already logged in and paid and
A whole
booked
lot
it.
of paid.
So not just for our youth programs, but for special event program type things as well, like what Christie's offering. So I would say that in the fall, September 1 maybe is a good date. Parks fees could change.
Wouldn't
For
you
park
want to
programming fees.
backdate that so that you could capture the increased fees for the beginning of the school year? So instead of saying September 1st, I would correlate it maybe August
August or whatever.
1st, something that to where when those kids sign up, that they're paying the increased price for the next school year, because they're going to be,
Just, I want to cover anything that's openly advertised right now, but then as soon as we open up the next registration for any program,
Mhm.
the new fee would apply. And our calendar is insane, so there's not a good hard single date.
Well, sure.
Because registration for fall is gonna open before the end of summer. So it's like anything we have currently open for
Right, but the
registration.
program starts like August 15th or whatever it is, whatever the beginning of school year. It's for the programming that starts that day.
So we ignore registration dates altogether and say when programming starts. after
Programming
August
date.
1st, that's when fees will change.
I would say programming date.
Rental rates will change immediately. Excluding existing reservations.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm complicated.
Well,
Well, that's everybody. I mean, not
Yeah,
just you.
that's
But I
right.
mean, if we pass this tonight, then we've got to start a extra brush pickup date, which may be, next week. And so I'm assuming that's what you mean, Darla, right? If we go up, the trash
It would
fees
be the
go up
next
next
bill.
month, next billing cycle, which could be, and,
It goes out at the first of the month.
okay. Well, however best to word it. If we need to tweak the actual resolution wording. Do you want to table till next month and I mean, I don't, whatever's best.
I would think you would go with. Correct me if you think I'm wrong. I would think you would go with everything except for Parks and Rec programming fees to go into effect. August, whatever, beginning of school year,
I don't know what that date is.
an existing.
August 13th.
August 13th.
I think that's when the kids go back to school.
You could state the beginning of school date and we could look it up to insert it in the resolution.
School start date. Okay.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And then for the sanitation, it just needs to be which direction you're going.
All right. Someone prepared for a motion?
We're gonna do them separately. Let's do Parks and Rec by itself first.
But that's not the way it's written. I mean, we have one resolution,
There's
so,
one resolution.
Resolution
Oh.
with these exceptions.
yeah.
And give it a go, and if I fail, just shut me
Yeah,
down.
okay.
A motion to approve adopting the 2025 fee schedule, approving amendments to parks and recreational fees, amending building and development fees, amending harbor fees, amending EMS fees, amending sanitation fees, and providing for severance and setting effective date with or without the approval of additional brush pickup fees, rental rates for parks and recreation immediately on new reservations only, and program fees go into effect on the first day of the start of the Port Aransas ISD school district.
Are you for sanitation increase? You need to include that in your motion.
And a motion to approve the sanitation fee increases as well. I was kind of blanket
With-
saying everything.
Including the brush.
Including-
pickup?
I said with or without the,
Okay, so you want with or without? Which one?
Which one?
oh, I thought we weren't making that decision.
No, we are
No.
making it.
Okay,
Monthly.
without the brush pickup.
Oh,
I will second.
that's okay. Okay, that's all right. That's the process. It's the process. Okay.
What?
All right, the motion he made
Excludes
Did it-
brush pickup.
excludes brush pickup,
The additional. brush
The
pickup.
additional brush pickup.
the additional brush
To
pickup
go to once a month.
to go to once a month,
Oh.
okay?
So we're gonna.
I'm
leave it
not
every
in
other
favor
month.
of once a month.
That's his motion.
That's
Oh,
his
okay.
motion.
With?
Can I amend my motion, please? Because I have no dog in this fight. With
Without.
approve the sanitation fees with going to once a month brush pickup.
Oh,
Ah, okay.
Okay,
Wow, that means-
all right. Got it. So motion is all the fees with the extra brush pickup and having the Parks and Recs
Delayed
dates
timing.
delayed based on reservation and timing of the school start year.
New rental rates immediately on new rentals, on new reservations.
Right.
So
I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to everyone? Do you understand? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll pick up every 6 weeks.
All right, is there a
Okay.
second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all right. Any further discussion to understand what we're doing?
Yeah.
All right, hearing none. Fran, why don't you give it a shot, the roll call?
Member Owen,
Yes.
Counselor Kruger,
Yes.
Counselor Chambers,
yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Crawford,
Yes.
Counselor Christensen,
Yes.
Counselor Schmidt,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, great
I
job.
was trying to.
You know, you're doing awesome.
good.
No, that was
Most
good.
people don't speak for about 6 months, so you're doing great. You're doing awesome. Okay, item S, discuss and take action, possible action on scheduling a date for the council goals workshop for budgeting purposes. This is always so fun.
It is.
Yes.
Glorious time.
Hopefully we have our calendars. So we will be having a lot of budget meetings in the month of August and the first week of September, probably ending around September 11th. But we do need a council goals workshop in there. Our certified roll comes out July 25th. So traditionally, we have done it either the first week of July, we could go the last week of June. Could even push maybe as late as the 7th, 8th. I would prefer not to go later than that of July. A little late, but needs to be.
Last
what
year
your
we did it
vote-
what? That
July
Tuesday
1st.
was the first, wasn't it?
We did.
It was
July
a first.
It was a Tuesday?
What, I had to look at that, but yeah, it was July 1st in my notes.
Because our council meeting is on the 19th, and because sometimes we have some other actionable items that we put on the budget workshop, to give staff a little time, I'd prefer not that next week, not the June 23rd through the 27th. I would prefer the beginning of July 30th to the 4th. I know we're not going to back it up to the 4th because that's horrible, but
Right.
that would line up to what we did last year. But I know everyone's schedules are absolutely crazy. So
I'm out of town June 23rd through the 28th, so I wouldn't.
yeah, I'm
July
What are we thinking,
1st.
Tuesday the first?
That's a good day for me.
Yep, that
Are
works
we-
for me.
Chad, is that good for you?
Yes, ma'am.
Dale?
Dale?
I'm good.
Wow. First
Love
try.
birthday cake for Fran.
Oh, happy birthday, friend.
Oh, I'm sorry. You have to work
So
hard.
at 5?
All day.
No,
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 it's
no,
an
no.
all day.
It's a 9
Oh, that's
o'clock.
an all day.
Yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah.
no,
We
no,
start early.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Start at
9,
9,
9 to
9,
4, 5.
9
Nine,
till.
midnight.
No, don't say that.
We normally get out here by 5 or, well, yeah, some.
Yeah.
We'll definitely bring in breakfast and lunch and maybe dinner.
Okay, I'm in.
Salad.
All right.
July 1st, okay.
So we need a motion,
Oh.
Fran?
Yeah.
Yes, please. Okay, I need a motion.
Make a motion to set the budget workshop for Tuesday, July 1st, 2025 at 9 a.m.
I'll second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I need to put it in my phone.
Fran, please call the roll.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Crawford,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
Councilmember Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Schmidt,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, item T, presentation of investment report for quarter ending March 31st, 2025.
In your packet, you have the investment report for the quarter ending March 31st in a timely manner. Our interest earnings ranged are all the way from one of our brokered CDs is at 3.41%, but our pools were anywhere from 4.36 to 4.9. So just gives you a little highlight on our earnings. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
It is good.
It is good.
It's good.
It's a lot better than when I stood up here a few years ago and said,
Yeah.
you're not earning any interest.
Give us more money to do projects with.
Yeah, we've
Pay
over
bills.
800,000 has been earned on the rec center tan. So
Good.
it's close to 900,000. So it definitely helped.
All right, y'all have any questions? Okay. Item 11, city manager report.
Ledge update. Well, as with what happens in a lot of the ledge updates, all the crazy bills that you fear run out of time and die on the vine, and that day is coming Thursday. Thursday's the last day for the house, any house bill to get voted on. And a lot of the bad ones that we've been tracking are gonna die on the vine. So luckily, we're seeing a lot of that. There's still a couple we're tracking at the last minute. Some of the ones that impact city financing, so we'll watch those, but most of them are, most of the bad ones are running out of time, which is kind of the game that gets played up there a lot. So we'll keep watching the next couple weeks and see what happens. But Joel and Patricia are working close. They update us almost daily on
Does that
everything.
include the one that you had talked to me about, the food truck?
That one
Okay.
got massively changed. It got totally reworked, and it was a pretty bad one. That was the one that said cities can't regulate food trucks at all. Not, they can park anywhere they want. We can't do anything. All they have to do is get a health permit. It
Nightmare.
died. He got a lot of attention with that one.
Okay.
I heard that,
Um,
the small lots died too.
yeah. Yeah, a lot of the ones in planning and zoning issues have died, and the small lot ones have died, or will be dead by Thursday. Update on city capital improvement projects. Road bond, our road drainage and street bond. We're still doing the stripe. We still have striping to do. I know that people are getting asked that a lot. It includes all of 11th Street. We added Avenue G. We still have some striping to do on Cotter, the bike lane. We still have some Brumley drainage. So the street bond it's almost wrapping up. So hopefully we'll get the striping done and addressed here in the next couple weeks and get it ready for summer.
Okay.
The CDBG drainage project on Avenue J. Our surveyors got a little alligator shy on that.
Oh, I saw that.
And didn't want to do the surveying staking, so the contractors is moving on to a potentially different surveyor that doesn't have as much alligator fear in them. So we'll see what happens with that.
It's gonna bring some chicken.
City Hall Civic Center. Fencing is starting to go up around the project. They should be getting the permit to Nicole and her bunch in the next week. And so things are happening. We're gonna have to start doing a little walking to get to work. We're working on getting the fuel tank moved. We're gonna move the fuel tank, and this is a temporary move for we don't know how long, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna move it over to our site here, the old Island Boat Works. I don't know if you've seen it lately, but we have the gas department has their trailer right here, and then Parks and Rec trailer sits about right here. So we're gonna move the gas tank about right here, and then people will be able to come, from the driveway, pull up to it, and then get their gas pump, and then go back out that way, or come in the other either direction. Fine. So we got to get the fuel tank moved. That's the one that's right outside this wall. Also, we're trying to get some trees moved. Ray and company are looking at the trees that are in the courtyard back here. There's some elms that they want, and some of the ones that are right outside this wall. So we got about 3 weeks to save some trees. So we're looking at that too on the City Hall Civic Center project. Rec Center. That was tonight. You guys directed staff to value engineer with the firm and with Janak and Associates, and we'll bring that back to you in June. Community Center. Colleen's working on that project. Demo is underway. Next week we'll be doing some floor leveling, and there was some pretty good water damage in the walls in the kitchen area, behind the walls, and behind the stove and the vent hood. So we're getting that addressed. And then after that, we'll be enclosing some walls and then moving on to door and window treatments and the roof replacement. So that's to follow.
Are they changing flooring in there?
No, we're leveling it. We're leveling it up from underneath. Yeah. And then the front porch is pretty beat up. It's not part of the project. So we are getting a getting a cost estimate on what it would take to redo that. I mean, we're doing all this work. It'd be a shame not to make the front porch look as nice as we can. So we're gonna cost estimate on that.
And is it ADA compliant at the other end right now?
What do you mean at the other end?
Well, I know that there's a ramp.
The ramp is?
Yes, I mean.
Yes, that ramp is ADA compliant.
I just
Yeah.
want to make sure
Yeah.
that if we start messing with that. then-
Yes, it's ADA compliant. And the new restrooms will be ADA compliant also. That are going on the end there. Airport. Airport's coming along great. I'm sure you guys have seen it. It's probably at 95% completion. They've been doing some hydro mulching and the landscaping and the grading. As soon as I think they had to wait a little bit on time before they do a top coat. And then the top coat will be followed by the new striping. So that's coming along really nice. Did they do the top coat?
It looked really good.
Is it all black?
Yes.
All right, I didn't see it. I've been gone for a couple of days, so. When did they do that? All right, maybe today. I didn't see it. Okay, so anyway, so once the blacktop's down, then they can follow up with striping. So that project's getting there. It's looking great. Beach Road 1B. You guys awarded that tonight, so we'll start working on the contracts and get them a notice to proceed. And then we're also unfortunately working with TxDOT and we're just gonna have to pound on them about them bucking up about the driveway entrance. 'Cause
Yeah, you
it's
can count how many
ridiculous.
driveways are.
Yeah, I mean, that road has been platted there since the 50s, so it's ridiculous that they think. And it's in the city's coastal management plan. It's in the natural resource code. So
Yeah, and they let
I don't
everybody
know what
else
they're
just put
what they're
every road
thinking
in.
that. I don't know. We'll get them straightened out. And then with the last thing is the last citywide project is the community park Bulkhead Park. We're gonna work with EDSA on coming up with a phasing plan on that, like we discussed, if we wanna take that 4 million and come up with a new phasing plan on what we want to see in phase 1, and then how we would come back and tackle phase 2. And then also look at, they're looking at xeriscaping and the other issues that revolving around the fact that we're in the midst of a drought, so what to build. So that's update on capital projects. Any questions on that?
I do want to say on
Yeah.
legislative session, Dave, for those of you
Yeah.
that may or may not know, it did get approved and it is official that we are the fishing capital of Texas.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
That bill
yeah,
that passed.
yeah.
So it is it's signed in the legislation.
Pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very exciting.
all right.
So as far as that bulkhead park, would that be on the agenda next month to look at some possible design?
Yeah, I could
Because I know we
possibly have.
haven't
by next-
officially let a
yeah.
contract with them based on what we might do to change things.
Yeah.
So, okay. Okay. Anything else for David? All right, we'll move on to staff reports. Item 12. Darla, you're up first, ma'am.
You're too much. You have your written report in the packet, just to go over a few of the economic conditions, economic indicators. The hotel tax collected in April for the month of March was very good. It was up 13.47% for the month of March. So we're almost down to even for the year, fiscal year to date, down just a little bit over 1.6%. For the same period, sales tax for the month of March was up 7.75%. So we're up for the fiscal year to date, a little over 2%. Harbor, it's down 4.48% for the yearly billings and 13.69% for the daily. Golf carts were ahead of last year. Through the end of April, we've sold 4,795 compared to 4,593 in 24. If anybody has any specific questions on anything else in the financials, I would be happy to try to answer.
No outlanders, no No weird things that we notice every once in a while? No one has any? Not even Chuck?
Not even shut.
Okay.
Our beach
all right.
permits are getting back into they're not wonky like they
They're
were
not
last month.
Okay, all right.
So.
Okay, well, thank you, Darla. We'll move on then to Nicole. Bless you. It is cold.
Okay, so we have issued 21 new residential building permits in the month of April, bringing our total to 71 so far this year. And you can see that we're in a mix of higher and lower than previous years, with our highest year being 2022 at 113 and our lowest year being 2020 at 41. As of this morning, there were 3,100 total registered STRs. It's 85 additional that we did not have last month. During the month of April, we only had 2 complaints, which also includes Sandfest. So we had 1 complaint about trash and 1 complaint about noise. Year-to-date complaints to the hotline is 10. Code enforcement, just regular code enforcement cases. Because we took a break on sending out brush notifications because we were in discussions about increasing that and we didn't want to confuse too many people with new schedules. We stopped sending those out. So our code cases for the month were only 34, where they've been high previous months.
Sorry about the brush thing.
He wasn't at those meetings. So I also just left the updates in code enforcement on the bigger issues that we're working on. 528 Brumley, if you remember, the Board of Adjustments declared that substandard, order it to be repaired or removed. They did nothing over that month. The property is homesteaded, believe it or not. So we're working with our lawyers to try to see what the best path forward is for us to have that probably removed.
Somebody lives there?
No.
Claims to live there?
Somebody claims it as their homestead.
It's not livable. That's even if you're a
Not for more than a night, I would
No.
imagine.
If you're a Montana mountain man.
Yeah, so, okay, so,
To their pet road.
so when you say soliciting bids for fencing and boarding, well, why would you even do that? Why would you just go straight to demolition?
So this was left from the last month. I
Okay.
just put the same same narrative in there and then
Uh-huh.
just added that working with attorneys. So last month we were talking about fencing and boarding. Those fencing costs were pretty high.
Yeah,
And
tear it
it was
down.
for a relatively small amount of time, so we felt like it probably wasn't in our best interest to spend the money to do that at that point. So now we're soliciting bids for demolition, but we need to really make sure that we do it right. So we're working with McKibben, who is under Mike Morris, to make sure that we're handling that properly, so there's no fallback.
okay.
Beach Lodge, we have mediation scheduled on May the 29th. So we'll have an update on that next meeting. And our junked vehicle campaign, we've sent out letters to everybody. We've started getting some cleaned up. I'm not sure how many of you frequent Paradise Point, but that location has been cleaned up quite a bit. We withheld golf cart registrations in order to do that. For some of these other problem locations, we don't really have that hammer. He needed his golf cart registration, so he was willing to work with us. With the other ones, it might be a little trickier, but we're starting, and with the parking plan approved today, that's going to take care of another one of our problem areas. So we're still working on it. If you guys see anything else, feel free to reach out to us. Another thing is Alex, part of the short-term rentals, he's working with Laura to go by and check every single short-term rental for their placard that's required to be outside. So it's a pretty big job for him, and he's been doing that over the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
Compared to the 3,100 this time last year, you know what?
I don't, it's not a number if we can regularly do that. It was pretty, it was lower than that because we didn't have that many altogether, but percentage wise, I think it was probably not that far off. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Nicole. All right, Daniel, your turn, sir.
Back again. So yeah, dispatch calls 98. Want to make a little note on there. So we did have Sandfest, but this year we had staged a truck down there but they stayed in the tent. So they got to deal with a lot of people and guests and everything else. That wasn't necessarily like a registered call where we're sending bills out and everything else, more like first aid stuff. So, we're going to work with the Sandfest board on how we want to do that next year. And that way we always keep an ambulance available, so you can be in there and not treating somebody with an ice pack type of thing. So 98 calls is it's about average for what we're doing. 4 minutes and 13 seconds on our response times, which has dropped a little bit, which is kind of surprising because a huge group of our calls lately has been on the south end, the homes on the highways. And so I anticipate, especially throughout the summertime, that we'll see a jump in all those response times, just for the fact that we have to go so much further. Transport totals still 52, so we're still going over the 50% range, which is good. Bears continuing to be our lead hospital that takes most of our transports. And you see, we did have a handful of calls, pediatric calls, a little bit more higher acuity, so we did go to Driscoll a few times. And let's see. As far as some of the highlights, I know we keep talking about blood training. We finally got all of our equipment in. It's here, it's in the trucks, it's up and running. We did a training on the last piece of equipment this morning. It was a good 2-hour training, and as of right now, our agreement with the blood bank is with our city attorney. And as soon as we get that back, then we are going live.
Nice.
And that'll be good. I'm hopefully in the next week or so. Hopefully. Other than that, CPR classes, we did CPR training for the seniors. So every single senior has to have CPR. So we went there, did all that. And then we did the entire police department and a handful of the dispatchers. So I think all in all, we're close to just under 100. It's our CPR training for the community. So it's really good. And we did the trooper walkers, they do their beach walk and run. And so we're going to stand by down there. And other than that, like I said, I already talked about Sandfest. Little sneak peek EMS conference. We had a great turnout. We had over 287 attendees actually sign in and get continuing education credits. And then we had another 55 between the vendors and sponsors and the crews and all that kind of stuff. So it was a great turnout. We were completely full all the way to the back. And so everybody loved it, had great reviews so far. I haven't gone over everything, it was just last week. So of course on next month, we'll have a little bit more information on all that. And I did leave y'all a little challenge coin up there for.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next
That
time
was
you are
nice.
at the bar, you gotta bump that out, make sure everybody else got it.
Yeah.
Is this a new title, EMS chief, then director on your shirt?
You know, it's hit or miss. It depends on who I'm talking to, I guess.
Just
know,
asking.
It's just, at the city level, I think it's a director, and then whenever I'm out at any kind of event, it goes by chief, and so just whatever they want to call me at this point, I don't really care.
Head honcho.
What do you want us to call you?
I do not care, I really don't. Anything else? All right, thank you.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Daniel.
Daniel. All right, Chief Stokes, your turn, sir.
Narratives at the bottom. So we're starting to get our little uptick. We had 2,214 incidents. The dispatch center, there's a breakdown of all the different calls for the different entities that they dispatch for. 48 total arrests. And breaks down the different charges that we had there. No minors in possession, like we did in spring break.
Nice.
But we are seeing an uptick in golf cart violations, and I suspect that trend is going to continue as the summer approaches and moves on. We had Sandfest and Easter weekend, which saw an increase in the calls for service that we had. Here's a few of the highlights. I'm not going to read the whole little narrative for some of the events that we did deal with, but I think the first one here, we talked about that at the end of the spring break presentation. We found this young man again at the same house and charged him with burglary. We got him in March for squatting in the same house then, so he got arrested back to back, pretty close windows. We had that golf cart crash where we had some pretty significant injuries that occurred. We had a couple of those this past month, and we had a unruly visitor at one of the local apartments and kicked in the door and went in and started drinking their booze and eating their food and
Oh,
that
man.
kind of fun stuff. So
Lord.
we arrested him for burglary as well. Is there any specific questions or anything that anybody has?
Do you know how many calls you get on short-term rental noise and or complaints late, late night?
I mean, we had a ton of them during spring break, obviously. We didn't have any real significance in April. We'll start tracking that as we go through the summer.
Yeah.
I know that the chambers had a couple of meetings with some of the short-term rental people that I attended one, and I think they had another one here not too long ago. Part of ways with the short-term rental people on how we can work together to help address a lot of those issues and stuff. So I think there's some ideas in there that we're gonna try out and see, and I know you've attended both of those meetings, and I think the conversation's been pretty productive, I
Very
think.
productive, and all the rental people that have attended it are very supportive of the police department and just looking for best measures to help.
Are most of the calls just about noise?
Well, so typically it's either noise or parking, but those are the two big bugaboos I think are the biggest, is some kind of parking issue, or some kind of noise disturbance, whether it's neighbors yelling at each other or family getting in a fight or whatever kind of deal it is. But that's the gist of them, and the timeframes just vary depending on what time of the year we're dealing with the crowds. Memorial Day weekend, the big weekends where stuff's going on is a much different beast than just the regular weekends during the summer. So it fluctuates a little bit, but that's what we normally see is parking and noise complaints of some sort.
So they're calling 911 instead of the dispatch line? Instead
Well,
of the hotline, they're calling 911?
So they're not using the hotline as much, and I think that was part of the discussion that we first had with the short-term rental people, and we're looking at ways on trying to better publicize that number, because a lot of the short-term rental companies said, send those calls to us. We can address at least the first call of stuff. If there's a noise complaint or whatever, give us a shot at doing it so we don't tie you up as much. So I think we're going to try to figure out ways to push that 800 number out a little bit more, that complaint line, so that hopefully it gets utilized more and the short-term rental people can get first crack at it.
Is there a certain time frame, like after 10, when people might be a little bit more tipsy or
Definitely after 2:00.
Yeah, okay.
Midnight till about 3, 4 a.m. is usually is kind of our zone. Well, because a lot of people, like if they go out to clubs and stuff, they get out at 2:00, 2:15. By the time they leave the bar district and stuff, it's 2:30, almost 3:00, and then they'll stop by Whataburger or somewhere.
Yeah.
That takes up a little bit more time, and then they head to the house, and then everybody's being loud and they're not realizing it. And so that's where we get a lot of the complaints and
But
disturbances.
we've got to better educate people to not call 911 because of noise.
Yeah.
That's not the point of 911.
Right. And it's a slippery slope, because I don't want people to not call because they think that the complaint isn't something that needs to be looked at by the police and something be happening.
You know what? Yeah.
So,
Get that.
and so I think it's going to be, I think as we work through this, that we can come up with a really good message and a really good way to present that to the public, to kind of lay out some guidelines on when you call the 800 number and when you call the police.
Right.
So
I think they were thinking it was a little bit more dangerous for the short-term rental people to go when somebody's really
And that's
drinking a lot.
and that's the kind of the problem that you run into. A noise disturbance is very vague in its description. So it could be a noise disturbance, could be loud music. It could be people talking on a balcony that in a place that's too close together, or it could be people fighting, that are engaged in some kind of physical disturbance. So it's really, we're really gonna have to figure out the message to make sure that we're not putting the short-term rental people in a position that they're not equipped to deal with. because we definitely don't want that. But I do think that there's a way that we can structure a message that we can get out to the public and publicize it to where they know that if they've got a complaint, and most of the complaints are going to be from the local citizens that are calling and complaining about, somebody next door to them that is being too loud this weekend. So
Yeah.
I think we can come up with something as long as we keep the conversations going. I think we'll have a good partnership, and I think we can keep moving stuff forward.
I've called the hotline twice. I'm one of those. Well, I mean, I don't do it unless it's both times were after 2 a.m. and I was
Yeah.
trying to sleep, and it was during the week, and I had asked them if they would keep it down, and they
Right.
turned their music up louder and brought more people to make me mad. So I called the hotline and was told, anyway, they said they were going to try to contact the owner of the house first. They asked what the short-term number was. I don't know. So I had to go outside and look in my jammies. Anyway, so the owner of the house contacted whoever had rented it and asked them, and they went in. So all
Right.
was well. But the next time wasn't so nice, and the police had to be called. But there were also, a lot of underage people, and some people got toted off to jail. So
Yeah.
I said,
That
listen, we
does
could have done
happen.
this the easy way, the hard way. I said, I'm not asking you to shut down your party. Just go inside. I have to work tomorrow. And
Yeah.
neither time were they very nice. So I was like, okay. But I did use the hotline, and it was very nice because it got resolved both times when they had to call the police. I mean, I think y'all were out there within 10 or 15 minutes. The other one was pretty.
Yeah, I think people visiting don't, as much as we
They're-
do.
the
and so they
police-
just
They weren't
pick up the
visiting.
phone and call the police. So.
Yeah.
Well, and that you would be surprised at the 911 calls we get.
Oh, I'm sure.
They
Yeah.
call and treat it like 411 for the people that you remember what 411 was.
Yeah.
And it's, very hard for dispatch to, be professional, be
Yeah.
polite, and be like, don't you have Google? Jeez.
Yeah.
Lately.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway,
Like the
so
people they
I,
call EMS because they have sunburn.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or they
Yeah.
get out of their
I
chair.
have to tell you that I used to lay in my bed and every time my neighbors, they drink outside all night, stay up all night and sleep all day. And I go, can y'all just do a drive-by? They'll run inside when they see the car driving.
Yeah.
Well, we included Laura, the short-term rental girl, in our first meeting there so that she could,
Yeah.
be part of that discussion as well. So we're trying to work cooperatively with the short-term rental community to figure out solutions to things and make sure that we're supporting each other. So I think moving forward, we'll find some solutions.
Yeah.
Good.
You're doing a great job.
Yes.
You're right.
We're trying.
All right, any other questions for Chief Stokes? All right.
Thank you.
All right, so item 13, city council comments and items for future consideration.
June 13th is definitely the next meeting.
19.
19th, Thursday, the 19th.
Thursday
I'll be-
is nice.
Is that okay?
Okay,
good.
I'll be here.
Is that good? Everybody got that?
Yeah.
Yep. All right. We're adjourned.